Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Hope you can all hear me. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning. We can hear you.
All right. Yes. Yes. So we are going to start in about 2 minutes. Yes, in about 2 minutes we should be starting. Okay. Yeah, we have 44 participants so far. So we should be starting as per our program. We should be starting. Yes, can I get confirmation that you can all have a view of my screen? Can I have a view? Can I have confirmation from that side? If you can all have a view.
You can see.
All right. So I welcome you all, ladies and gentlemen, to this M.A.S. online webinar. This is our first day. This is our first day. I'll ask. Yes, so we shall start. I'll request a volunteer to give us an opening prayer, then we can proceed. Any volunteer to give us an opening prayer, then we can proceed with our webinar.
Okay, let's pray. Father, in the name of Jesus, we thank you for this day. We thank you for this opportunity that we've organized as surveyors. We pray for your wisdom. We pray that it will be insightful, that it will make us better surveyors, that will benefit and lead to the development of our country, and that we will build values out of the communications that will come out of this meeting. We put this meeting into your hands, those that are going to be sharing with us, that we shall gain and that will be impacted by the end of the webinar. We pray this in the name of our Lord Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Thank you, Brian, for the opening prayer. Today we have our day one of the M.A.S.S webinar, and we are privileged to have our keynote speakers. As you can have a view of that, we have RSU Tom Senyondo. We do have RSU Naomi Kayondo. We also have RSU William Matovu. And today I'm going to be a moderator. My name is Donald Chidibarwanya, the current M.A.S.S president. I'm going to be a moderator with Nasozi Primos, the project coordinator of M.A.S.S as well. So this is our agenda for today. We are going to have the introduction of the session aims and goals. We will have communications from the Dean School of Built Environment, Dr. Moses Musinguzi, who is as well our patron for Makerere University Association of Surveying Students. Then we shall have introduction of the keynote speakers. Then we shall have the first keynote speaker give his presentation. Then yes, I request yes, then we shall have questions Q&A session after the first keynote speaker giving this presentation. Then at the end of it all, we shall have closing remarks from us. Then the Makerere University Association of Surveying Students brings you this M.A.S.S lockdown webinar session to connect you to the country's top professional surveyors. Makerere University Association of Surveying Students is a students association which comprises of students from the three surveying chapters, that's land surveying, valuation surveying, and quantity surveying. And today, our theme for today, we are going to be talking about and discussing more of fitting into the job market. That's our theme for today. That's our theme for today that we are going to be mainly focusing on. And the aims for this webinar, one is mentoring the students. Two is inspiring the students. Three, motivating surveying students as they pursue their careers. This is what we are going to be focused. These are going to be the aims for. These are the aims for this webinar. And the key aspects that we shall be focusing on during the webinar. One is how does a student build their own brand before graduating? What are the required skills in the job market? How wide is the job market? What is the future of the surveying profession? What exactly happens after graduation? And how does one join the Institution of Surveyors of Uganda and get to be a registered surveyor with the Surveyors Registration Board? We shall also be focusing on how is getting registered with ISU and SRB helpful in the job market, and what roles does a surveyor play in this modern world. Also, we shall be sharing more about other qualities that we should be aware of about while getting into the job market. And lastly, we shall be discussing about the necessities of the surveying profession. So As per our agenda today, at this moment, I will invite the Dean School of Built Environment, our patron nurse, Dr. Moses Musinguzi, to give a communication. Then we can proceed with our agenda.
Thank you very much. I hope everyone can hear me. Do you hear me, please? Let me
Yes,
confirm.
we can hear you. Yes, we can hear you.
Oh, that's very good. Good morning to all of you, ladies and gentlemen. Our keynote speakers, the leadership of M.A.S.S, students, and other invited guests for this webinar. I would like to, first of all, welcome everybody on behalf of the university, and also to congratulate the leadership of M.A.S.S and the entire students for organizing this. Of course, if we are not in a lockdown, this would be a physical workshop where would all of us be interacting face to face. But because of the limitations, because of COVID-19, this is now the new normal, and this is the way we have to live probably for quite a long time. I would like to thank the organizers for selecting a very good topic. This topic is about fitting into the job market. Not so many weeks ago, we had a conference, and this was for the International Federation of Surveyors, FIG. There were so many activities and so many presentations, but what attracted me most is the discussion on the future of surveying. I was part of the panel that discussed this, and one of the topics was about education. How do we tailor our education to fit into the job market? First of all, we note that surveying is changing because of technology and many other advancements. What we used to know is no longer applicable. And we also hope that things are going to change for a long time. So now the question is, how do we fit ourselves into this changing world? So I hope that we are going to benefit from the experience of the keynote speakers. And I also thank you for selecting the keynote speakers, because these are people whom I know who have vast knowledge and experience in these fields of surveying. So at the end of the day, we need to see how we can reorganize ourselves. And also for us, the education institutions, I think this helps us because now we see where we need to put more effort in terms of the curriculum, also in terms of the teaching and mentoring. So I will be listening in, and if necessary, I will be contributing because this is going to be very helpful for the university and also for the students. So I thank you so much, and I welcome you to Makerere University. Thank you for sparing your time to participate in this. So I end my remarks. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you so much, Dr. Moses Musinguzi, our patron. We are happy for those remarks. So going ahead with our agenda today is introduction of the keynote speakers. We're having RSU Tom Senyondo as one of the keynote speakers. RSU Tom is a professional, is a registered quantity surveyor with the Surveyors Registration Board. His his education background has a master's in construction management that's ongoing, and graduated with a bachelor's degree in quantity surveying from M.A.S.S University. His work experience: he has worked with a consulting as a consulting QS for 8 years, and is concurrently worked as a contractor for 6 years. He currently an MD of Wellam Constructions Limited. He has served under ISU and currently is the Honorary Quantity Surveying Chapter Chairperson from 2021 to date, and he served as Secretary of the QS Chapter from 2018 to 2021. He is also served as an assessor of APC for ISU 2018 to date, and is also a member of membership APC and Education Committee of ISU. He was a member from 2018 to 2021. She's a registered surveyor of Uganda Evaluation Surveying with the Surveyors Registration Board. She's currently the Honorary Evaluation Surveying Chapter Chairperson of the Institution of Surveyors of Uganda. She's a professional associate with the Institution of Surveyors of Uganda. She's her education background. She has a master's in real estate that she got from Nottingham Trent University. She has a postgraduate diploma in project management from Uganda Management Institute. That's from 2016-2017. Then with a bachelor's in land management and valuation from Adi University in Tanzania. That's from 2008 to 2012. Her work experience: she's a government valuer in the Ministry of Lands, Housing and Urban Development from 2020 to present. A valuer with Vals Consults Limited from July 2019 to December 2019. She also worked as a valuation surveyor with East African Consulting Surveyors and Valuers from November 2012 to February 2019. She also worked as a valuation surveyor with Jimuco from June 2012 to October 2012. Our other keynote speaker today is R.S. William Matovu. Is a land surveyor, land acquisition expert with a bachelor's in land surveying from M.A.S.S University. That was in 2007. He also has a master's in management from UK that he got in 2014. He's also got certification in land acquisition, resettlement and social sustainability. That's from UOG Switzerland in 2017. He has got a certification in the World Bank Environmental and Social Framework from WB Addis Ababa 2018, and is also a fellow with ISU in 2018. His work experience he has worked with Matt and Spencer Limited as a director from 2007 to 2019. He worked with KCCA as the head of survey section from 2011 to 2013. Then he also worked with UNRWA as the head of land acquisition from 2016 to 2020. And he is currently the managing director of M.A.S.S Bike Bakery, and is also a director with the Wilder Industries Limited. So I'll invite our first keynote speaker, RSU Tom Senyondo, to give a presentation on our theme today.
Thank you, President. Let me try to share my screen. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Okay.
RSU Tom, your audio is off.
Sorry.
Yes, we can hear
Can you
you
hear me
now.
now?
Yes, we can. Your audio is off.
I think someone is putting off my audio. Please, co-host, you may have control.
Okay, please.
Yeah, because it's being switched off. So I believe by the time I end my presentation, some of you fresh graduates will not be as naive as some of us were when we were entering this market. My presentation is going to follow this outline. I'll give a brief profile about myself. I will also do an introduction. Then I'll address what you need to know as a fresh graduate. I'll also address how to package yourself. I'll also briefly talk about what lies ahead, and then I will conclude. So who is Tom Senyondo? Tom Senyondo, I was born and raised in Western Uganda. He's an old boy of St. Henry's College, Chitovu. And coincidentally, we are making 99 years today as a college. I'm an alumni of Makerere University, 2012. I did a bachelor's degree in science, bachelor's degree of science in quantity surveying, and I'm currently pursuing a master's degree in construction management. I'm a professional member under the Institution of Surveyors of Uganda. I'm a registered quantity surveyor with the Surveyors Registration Board. I'm an assessor of professional competence under the ISU. Currently, I'm the managing director of Welham Constructions Limited, a company that is mainly doing both contracting and project management. Outside that, I'm the Chief Executive Officer of the Rotary Club of Kampala Munyonyo. I'm married with children, and currently I'm the Quantity Surveying Chapter Chair under the ISU. And my hobbies mainly, I'm passionate about construction and cattle keeping. The introduction, my presentation is going to be mainly about quantity surveyors, since we have other panelists that will handle the other chapters. Now I begin, who is a quantity surveyor? Because I believe students who are in third year, fourth year, some of them don't know what they are. They are doing a course called quantity surveying, but they are not sure of what it is about. So this introduction is really to make them aware of what they are, and even those that are outside this field can relate. A quantity surveyor is a construction industry profession with expert knowledge on construction costs and contracts. In a nutshell, quantity surveyors are about construction costs and contracts. Everything else, as you will see later, fall within those two. Why are they not known in Uganda? Because if I took a survey here, and I asked someone, they might not have heard about a quantity surveyor. So the reason as why they are not well known is because of the naming. Being called a quantity surveyor, sometimes we are confused with land surveyors. So the naming made us not be known well. Then the training, as Dr. Msinguzi can confess, quantity surveying has less than 20 years here. The first batch, I think, was around 2004. So that is why majority of Ugandans don't know about this profession, but in other countries, it has been there for some time. The nature of life of Ugandans in the past. In the past, Ugandans used to construct for the sake of shelter, and this usually they would do by themselves. You go down, get poles, you mix soil with water, and then you have your mud and water house. No need for any professional. But now things have changed. We construct for different purposes, and there is a lot of capital that is involved. That is why a quantity surveyor is now becoming more prominent than it has ever been before. Then we have the local government setup. The role of a quantity surveyor within local government has been given to civil engineers. And since decentralization was made, a quantity surveyor would be known on the ground than it is today had they been there within the local government setup. What does a quantity surveyor do? I know fresh graduates are wondering, when we reach the market, what are we going to do? This is what you're going to do. You'll be setting up budget estimates before designs are made. Remember, in most cases, we encourage to design towards a certain cost, not costing designs. So you'll be setting up budget estimates before designs are made. You'll be providing cost implications of design, that is costing a design. Then you'll be specifying components of work, e.g. materials, the methodology, and the functionalities. For quantity surveyors, this is usually within what we call specifications, or how we describe work items within the bills of quantities. Furthermore, you'll be drafting contracts between clients and contractors, or between contractors and subcontractors. You will as well be tracking costs as construction progresses and determining how much should be paid to a contractor at any given stage. You will also be tracking design changes as work progresses, and technically we usually call these variations. And lastly, you will be resolving disputes, but there are so many other roles that will meet when you reach the field, not only these ones. Now, I was asked to present to you what you need to know as a graduate as you venture into the job market. What do you expect there and what you need to know? First of all, I have to tell you that it is very scary. You're coming from a university, entering this wide field, and you don't know what to expect. Trust me, it is very frightening. And if any of you feels that way, take heart. It is expected. Okay? It is expected. So don't fear. I know it is scary because I remember in 2012 when I was entering the job market, I didn't know what to expect. I was scared. So it is very normal. Secondly, there are temptations to stray away. And temptations come because of the uncertainty within the first point. You have finished university, most likely you have dropped papers somewhere, they have not responded, and then a temptation comes from another maybe profession, promising heaven and earth, and saying here, this is a quick gain, and you might get tempted to stray away and leave what you have studied. It's not a bad thing, but then your goals may not be achieved within the long term. The short-term goals may be achieved, but in the long term,
All right, Tom, we've lost you, the audio.
okay.
Okay.
I think I'm back. Now,
Yes,
there's
you're
this
back.
thing of peer pressure where your colleagues have got a job and for you have nothing. Please, it is normal. We all have different timings. So don't feel pressured just because your colleagues have got jobs and for you it is taking some time. You need to expect this. It's a reality of life and it happens. Then there is this anxiety and sense of rejection. You know, applying to places, some companies make it worse. You reach the reception, drop there your application, and the receptionist will put it in the dustbin right away while you're still there. So you feel dejected, you become anxious, you feel like what you studied is useless. That feeling is bad, but that's what happens in life. It is training you actually for bigger things because more rejections will come in life, as we shall see later during the social responsibilities. You might want to marry a certain lady and she refuses. Don't go and hang yourself. You will have got this experience that I wanted this job so badly, but they showed me rejection. They didn't even give me a chance to meet the MD. Maybe I could have explained myself better than what my CV said. So this anxiety and sense of rejection can happen. It does not happen to everyone, but it can happen to anyone. Then loss of confidence. After all this has happened, you may lose your confidence. A person who has been confident maybe in class, you have even got a first class, but then people are showing you that you're nothing. So you can easily lose confidence to even make more efforts to try and move around to look for an opportunity. So what I can say is please don't lose confidence because this is a process that is not only natural, but normal. Some people may be lucky not to go through it, but if it happens to you, it's not the end of the world. Then loss of hope and depression. this is in relation to what has actually happened to you. I'm talking about the negative side mostly because that is what breaks heart. If things are going well for you, well and good, you will not have any issues. But if they are going bad, I'm trying to show you that it is normal and it can happen. And should it happen, please don't go into depression. Here there's a quotation that trust the timing of everything. Just because it's not happening right now doesn't mean it will never happen. So be patient, your job will come. Then maybe lastly, what you need to know is that now we've reached a stage where most likely you have got a job. You've been through all the others. Now you've got a job, but you're a fresh graduate. So this is what you can expect. There will be delayed or no payments. These companies are very exciting when you read their profiles, when you see them on within the published papers. But you will reach there, you work for 3-5 months and you're not paid. Or if you get paid for 1 month and then you remain demanding 5. This happens, but as Stevie will see later, you need to know when to say enough is enough. Okay. Then secondly, the learning is a curve. You'll discover that what you know is not enough. Yes, you might have come from the university, the Dr. Msinguzis have given you first class, but what they have given you is just a quarter of the knowledge you need to succeed in this profession. So you should not stop learning. And you need to be careful as you select a job where there is no privilege for you to continue learning. That is not a good job. And this is in relation to the point below, that is stunted growth. You enter a company, you're given a task of always taking off, and you do that you do that task for 3 years without venturing into other roles that a quantity surveyor does, and you think you are in a good job, even though it is paying well, that is a very bad job. Because as you see that curve, it is quite cumulative. You're beginning from 0, you need to keep progressing up. But if you're within the same place, doing the same task, then you're not growing. Within 3 years, you should be on the next level. Then expect unethical bosses that are not professional, okay? You can see that picture where a boss employees' ears. Please, I believe Makerere does not train fighters. Don't fight back. Just know how to deal with such, because you're being warned that it can happen. You will meet funny people. You go to a company to work and they make you serve tea. So if that happens, don't get surprised. It's not all roses, or as they say, a bed of roses. So how do you package yourself in order challenges or go through them without hurting so badly? First of all, I'm not a very religious person, but the few times I've prayed to God, He has answered. So please pray to God and be specific of what you're praying to. Don't just speak in tongues without knowing what you're speaking. Just pray to God that I want a good job, and a good job is a job that pays you well, that gives you room for growth and research. So you need to pray to God in whatever religion you're in or any means that you use. Then have a written plan. I would have said have a plan, but a plan that is within your head. From experience, I've learned that things that are within your head tend to remain there. Put that plan on paper, that in 2 years, I need to be this. In 3 years, I need to be that. In 10 years, I need to be this. And trust me, if they are written, you will go ticking boxes. If they are not written, they will remain there confused as you are. So have a written plan and try to follow it. If you see within 3 years, you're not achieving what you intended to achieve at that time, then just know something is wrong. Try to revise. It's never too late. You can rearrange your plan. So we all need to have a plan as we venture into this market. We need to complete the course. Some of you here in M.A.S. might be in the second year, third year, first year. Don't jump out because Tom has presented on how to venture into the job market without completing your courses. It is the first thing that you need to even walk into someone's office. So you complete that course. By being a member of M.A.S., I believe you're a university student. So you complete that course. However hard or easy it is, just complete it. That's all. Then as you are at the university, you also need to choose internship placement wisely and use your time well while you're there. I know this is a challenge for most of you university students, but under the leadership of ISU, we are trying to streamline this. One, by ensuring that any member of M.A.S. is helped in attaining internship placement, but also providing good content to the facilitators of those companies to ensure that what students come for, they actually get it. Because you'd find several students going to different companies, but the content they get from there is not beneficial to them. So we are trying to step in, and what you can do is that be a member of M.A.S., and as you go for those internship placements, use your time while there well. A short story, I remember when we were doing our internship, I think in second year, it was 2010 with my colleagues. It was World Cup time. All we would do would go to site, choose a good corner, then converse about the matches that had taken place the previous day. It reaches 2 p.m. We go and watch the matches of that day. That internship was not very beneficial because the people on site didn't know how to help us, and we were also not serious. So please don't be like some of us. Then you also need to be open-minded, humble, and courageous about jobs. Don't go into the job market with a perception that for me, I can't work for such and such a company, I can't be paid such and such a salary. Having all negative things, you just be open-minded. A job that comes and meets the targets that you wrote down, just go for it. Be humble, but when you're there, show that maybe you don't fit there by what you do there, not by what you thought. Then I would also like to encourage you to continue being good children and seek parental support so that you're able to work for free, okay? Most of these companies are not going to hire you, pay you, yet to them, you know nothing. But if your parents continue supporting you and you get this job, you just request as if you're going to work for free or an internship, reach there, show what you're made of. Within a short time, you'll be on a payroll. So I encourage you to continue being good children to your parents so that they are able to support you even after you have completed university. Don't complete university and go into a rental because you get frustrated being unable to pay for it. Continue being a kid at your home so that your parents are able to support you and be able to work for free. It's one of the strategy of getting jobs. Most of your CVs will be bounced, but if you're willing to work for free, they will be able to see what you're able to offer and give you a job. You also need to exercise patience while trying. Don't give a deadline to yourself that I'm going to apply for 10 jobs. If they say no, I'll go back to my village and maybe begin brick making. Brick making is not bad if it's among your plans, but it should not be a fallback strategy just because you gave yourself a very unfair deadline. So you need to be patient because good things take time. Then be a member of a professional association like ISU, Reason, or even Rotary. I know the next presenter is a Rotaract, myself, I'm a Rotarian. All these things help you meet several people. If you are Rotarian or a Rotaract and your fellow Rotaract knows that you don't have a job, there is that sense of togetherness. They will be able to link you to a job. Don't cocoon yourself in a certain corner and remain there just because things are not going well for you. No, you remain in people. Now we are in social media era. Be on class platforms. You participate. Someone will tell you that there is a vacancy here, but if you go and hide somewhere, an opportunity will come and pass you or without knowing. Now, what lies ahead? We are now at a stage where we think we have a job, all is going well. So what lies ahead? First, there is professional growth. You're expected to grow within the profession. You're going to start by taking off. You need to advance to doing some contracts. You need to advance to being able to sign a contract on behalf of the company. And most likely, you need to begin your own company or work for a company that is worth working for a long time. That is key. Some companies are not worth working for a very long time because themselves, they are not growing. So you will reach all the ladders that are there to climb. And then what else for you? Some of us are very ambitious and hungry. Whenever we achieve one step, we look at the next step. So professional growth is what lies ahead. Then don't forget about social growth. In life, we need to add something onto it, and it is through these social relationships where we are able to do that, and somehow they make you stable. You can't keep running around and you think you'll do much in this world. So this social growth is also an expectation that should be within your minds. Then there's professional accountability. You will realize that when you get a job, every work that you do, someone will be there to check whether all is well. But as you advance, you will be accountable for what you do. I believe the present about SRB and ISU will tell you that once you are a member, you are accountable for what you do. Then what you also need to know that lies ahead is that you will have less time for hobbies and personal interests. Myself, I loved to play football and watch movies, but I don't remember the last time I played football, and the movies I watch nowadays are just repeats. I don't have time to begin and finish a new movie. So this is expected, and once it comes, don't get shocked. Then investment and wealth growth. Please don't make money and just enjoy yourself just because you have some money. Invest somewhere, grow some wealth, because as you grow this wealth, you're providing jobs to others, you're helping society. And above all, you need to serve above yourself. Please give back to the society that has raised you up to this point. As our theme of this year in Rotary says, you need to serve to change lives. I thank you very much, and I look forward to your questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Senyondo. My name is Nanchana Sozimers, and I'm going to be co-moderator. Yes, we have some questions for you from the participants. Number one, how competent must one be to fit the market? Number 2, what things would make one more competitive as a quantity surveyor? Number 3, as a profession, what are the different changes in the work patterns of a surveyor? What is required from someone for being a better QS? What basic skills must a QS acquire for employment? And then how to become a registered surveyor? Where can one work as a qualified surveyor in Uganda? And then how to align oneself as the best fit for a position, regardless of their gender.
Thank you for those questions. And I'll request that they remain on the screen. I'll request that they remain on the screen. The first question is how competent must one be to fit the job market? Like in my presentation, as a fresh graduate, we are looking at actually entering the market but not fitting there. Fitting there is a whole different thing. So as a fresh graduate, all you need is to finish your degree. And from my experience, we rarely look at the classes of degrees. I know some people with past degrees that are in good jobs. It's about what you exhibit while you're there, not the classes you got. So just finish your degree, you will be able to enter the market. How to fit there is how you handle yourself while there. Quantity surveying has a lot of pressure and deadlines. So you should be able to meet those deadlines. Listen to what your bosses need. Some of them will shout in your ears, but as long as you have a plan and you know, I need to achieve this while you're here, be patient, you will get through. So be disciplined and do what is expected of you as per the terms of reference within your job specification. I would like to know what things would make me more competitive as a quantity surveyor. I used to tell some of my colleagues that sometimes quantity surveying is a little bit of a talent. Some people are good quantity surveyors, others are not, no matter how long they will be in the field. But that is another story. However, how can you become more competitive? Make sure that you do more than what is expected. Just because you're on a job and it is mainly a contractor's company and your job is to do tendering, try to venture into other aspects of quantity surveying. Like you get to know how do those documents that you price are prepared. And you can know this through reading or offering free services to certain companies for the purposes of learning. And on this point, I would like to emphasize that if you enter the job market with an intention of making money right away, you will make some money. But as time goes on, that money will be negligible. So it is better to enter with a mind of learning and trying to acquire knowledge than making money at the start. As a profession, what are the different changes in the work patterns of a surveyor? Yeah, you will realize that as years go on, the tasks that you're given keep changing. At the start, you will begin as an assistant to someone for some time. You do work and they look through. But as time goes on, you will realize that what you do, you have to go and defend it. That is why I told you about professional accountability. You go and defend it. And if you've made a mistake, it comes back to haunt you. Then later, you will be able to even meet clients and negotiate contracts. Then at the topmost of it all, you'll be the client. So that's how the patterns keep changing. What is required from someone to being a better QS? This is really related to question number 2, where it says, how do I make myself more competitive? A competitive QS is actually a better QS. What basic skills must a quantity surveyor acquire for employment? Skills that are actually taught at the university. One, in this era, you must be having computer skills, good at it, that is ICT. Construction technology should be a skill of yours. You should be able to internalize a project from start to finish without looking at the drawing. Okay. Then management skills. Management, that is both the inflow and outflow of information, the paperwork. So you should be able to be a good manager of all those aspects. You should be time conscious. I know quantity surveyors, no one can sleep too long because the table is full of what to do. So those are some of the skills, and more others are just normal skills that make a better profession. How to become a registered quantity surveyor? Becoming a registered quantity surveyor is a process. First, from university, you're expected to join ISU as a graduate member. And within that time, you're being mentored by someone called a counselor. At the end of 2 years, you're supposed to prepare what we call a critical analysis report. And then if you pass that interview, you become a professional associate. From there, you advance and apply to Surveyors Registration Board, where you also sit an interview and you become a registered quantity surveyor. This can take 3 years. However, from experience, it might be hard to achieve the required knowledge within those 3 years. But if you're good enough, 3 years is the minimum time that you can take. Then where can I work as a qualified surveyor in Uganda? Okay, this is broad, but let me stick to quantity surveying. A quantity surveyor can work within the construction industry. That is either as a consultant, as a contractor, or a commercial manager in an organization that is not construction related, but has a construction element. e.g., insurance companies, banks, all these need quantity surveyors. However, as you remember in my presentation, I talked about being swayed away. Quantity surveyors, because of their analytical skills and knowledge of figures, other professions actually admire them. So don't get shocked if you meet a quantity surveyor within an auditing firm. You can as well work there, it is okay. But sometimes for me, I call that getting swayed away, but you can still work there. How do I align myself as the best fit for the position, regardless of being female? There is a little bit of gender insensibility within this quantity surveying. We don't look at someone being a female or male. It's about what you're bringing to the company. For instance, yes, there might be a bias if you put in your application, but once you get there, and as I advised you, you should be able to work for free for some time so that people are able to see what you can offer. But if you get there and you show yourself as a Cinderella, that for you, you can't climb buildings, you can't be in certain places. Most of our projects are in remote areas. You can't go there. A visiting site, you need permission from your parents. It might be hard for you as a lady. So as a lady, once you get on a job, show that there's no difference between you and a male. Because this is a challenge, yes, we want gender emancipation, but then ladies are not doing as expected. And this field is quite field-oriented. So once you get onto the job, you show that there's no difference between you and the guy. Otherwise, if you show that difference, then you will not be the best fit for that position regardless. I thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Do we have any questions from other participants? Anyone? Any questions?
Yes. Hope I'm loud and clear.
Yes.
This is Kia James Mugeni, and I would love by first of all thanking Mr. Senyondo for the wonderful presentation. But I just have a simple question. We as quantity surveyors, what computer skills do we need to equip ourselves with as far as softwares are concerned, maybe within our profession or maybe within the other professions we share with, like the engineers, the land surveyors, and so on? Thank you.
Do I answer one by one or we get a list?
I think we get a list.
Okay.
Any other person, please unmute and ask.
Thank you very much, Mr. Senyondo. This is the Duncan Wabigaba. My question is all about are you highlighting on the future prospects of a quantity survey? Sometimes you interact with someone and he tells you that what a quantity surveyor does, let's say there's an architect can do it or a structural engineer can do it. So which relation can we take we as quantity surveyors about the future prospect of our career? Thank you.
Yes, any other?
Yes, thank you very much, Mr.
Oh, there's
Kayondo.
another question from.
Yes, I have a question.
There's a question from the. There's someone asking, how do you strike a work-life balance? And then there's, how does one become a member of the ISU? I think that's all from the chat room. Any other participant with a question, please?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
This is Methodius Ruhanga Twine. I'm also a student of QS year 1. And now I would like to ask Mr. Kayondo, he talked about working for free and like being oriented to learning. And looking at these times we are in, being COVID times, it's going to be like the way we are studying right now, like the times we spent at the university. Honestly, there wasn't very much learning as regards to, because most of the times we spent learning on our own. So when you talked about learning from the professions, like I've heard about apprenticeship learning, like you maybe being a quantity surveyor by apprenticeship. Could such a thing blend in as maybe because of the COVID times and we can't be at universities? Couldn't it be good, like if one can get, and maybe also requesting you at the same time, like the surveying firms to take on students and like just you have prepared this, you continue to mentor us in different fields as we also volunteer to work for free when we learn whatever you teach us. Thank you.
I think RSU Tom should respond to those questions in the interest of time.
Okay,
Yes,
fine.
okay.
Thank you. I'll begin with James's question about what they need to know about computer skills, the softwares. There are softwares that we use almost on a daily These include M.A.S.S project. It is used in preparing schedules or scheduling of works. There's AutoCAD, which is used in designing and measuring, and ArchCAD. There's also Dimension X, WinQS, Cost Plus. There are so many. However, the key ones are really M.A.S.S project, AutoCAD, ArchCAD. The rest you can align with what that company is using. Then Duncan asked that he is a bit worried that what a QS does, an architect can do and an engineer can do. It is not true. They cannot do, but they just have an idea. For instance, this ArchCAD and AutoCAD I've told you about, they are mainly used by architects and engineers. But just because you have an idea about it, you're not going to call yourself a designer, and in a nutshell, not be able to design a project very well. So in the same sense, they also study about quantity surveying. They know what a QS does, but they don't do it as a quantity surveyor does it. Our market is quite open. It is filled with masqueraders, and it is normal, but a serious client who knows what they want, they will go for a quantity surveyor instead of hiring an architect to do what a QS does. Then a question from the chat room, how do you strike a work-life balance? Yes, and it is very important. We need to balance work and life. What I usually do, I write my to-do list for a day. And in that to-do life, there should be an aspect of social life. So once it reaches 5 o'clock, I leave work. So make sure that you do your assignments quickly so that you leave work on time and go to and attend about other aspects. Don't get buried into work all the time in that you lose on the other aspect of life, because it's also equally important. How does one become a member of ISU? Becoming a member of ISU is one of the easiest. ISU has several ladders, like being a student member, a graduate member, PA, and professional member. So becoming is, for instance, a student is just a matter of application. You attach what is required, and these forms can be obtained from the secretariat that will tell you what you need to attach. And these are mainly academic documents for student members. And for graduates, it is equally the same, but here you will have to get referees to sign for you. Then the other stages, you have to qualify for them through sitting different interviews. Ruhanga Twine of year 1 is asking about these COVID times and then apprenticeship. What I have to tell you is that right now we are not in a normal situation. And even if these companies were able to give you to work for free, it might be hard because themselves, they are not working at full capacity. So bringing in someone else and online might be hard. So I believe we need to be a little bit patient, let this wave subside, and then if people are back on sites and offices, apprenticeship can be possible. But now bringing in someone online, yet you yourselves are not working on full capacity, might not be ideal right now. I thank you very much.
Yes,
Okay.
thank you so
Thank you very much.
much.
We shall hereby invite Madame Kayondo to share with us her presentation.
Thank you very much, moderator. Please just give me a minute or two to just organize my video. I was trying to get presentation, but I might not be able to have it. So let me just work on the video and I'll be able to share it. Please give me about a minute. You can, in a minute, ready. Thank you.
Yes, as we wait for that minute, we can take up a question for the QS. Just a question, one question, or any person.
Yes, good morning, everyone. I wanted to
Good
ask,
morning.
yes, I wanted to ask, you said, you said that experience is one of the important factors in the job market. So given a situation when you're feeling experience and, let me say, more knowledge about the more things. So if I finish, give a situation, I finish university and then I've been given, have bought a job and let me say a master's position, what would you suggest I take in such a situation?
Okay, thank you, lady. I didn't get your name. And you were not clear. However, what I got was you have a master's, but you don't have experience. How would that be treated? Like I told you, qualifications, most especially those upper ones like a master's, are not really looked at so much as you enter. What they will look at is an undergraduate degree. So if you don't have experience, like I advised, be ready to work for free or for less salary that meets maybe your transport, lunch, so that you're able to show the company that maybe you're at a master's level that requires more critical thinking than an undergraduate. But straight out from university, just because you have masters, does not favor you. But then experience, people know that you don't have experience. That's why they are willing to bring you on and show and see whether you can easily learn and get the experience that they need. So that should not be a worry. Thank you.
Right. Thank you, RSC Tom. One more question.
Yes, good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
There was a good question actually in the chat about, someone asked it in the chat, I've just seen it. It says, how realistic is it for one to start up their own consultancy firm or company?
Okay, thank you very much. Maybe the question would be, how do you start a consultancy firm? It's a legal requirement that for one to begin a consultancy firm in quantity surveying, they should be registered with the Surveyors Registration Board. And after that, you're free to begin a consultancy firm. But before that, you're not legally allowed to do so. And if you do so, and you're a member of ISU, most likely you will face a disciplinary committee. So in a nutshell, become a member of SRB, and then you're free to begin your consultancy firm. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, RSC Tom.
And the questions have been answered. I am also ready to make my presentation.
Yes, please. You're welcome. You're welcome, RSC Naomi.
Okay. Thank you very much. Good morning, members, once again. I hope that you can all hear me and see me. Thank you very much to M.A.S. for giving me the opportunity to talk about our topic today, fitting into the job market. Can you all hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you very much. I would like to appreciate Tom, Chapter Chair QS, for that insightful presentation. And you will realize after I have made my presentation that we have a couple of similarities with Tom. So I'm also a 2012 graduate. Yeah, and I've been in the field for those few years, at least when they say experience of 5-6 years, I can qualify. Thank you very much. I will start with clearing out a few things in the introduction. My presentation today, I will also talk about myself, a brief profile. I will share with members the background of valuation in Uganda. Then we'll delve into what is expected of fresh graduates, even maybe, should I say, candidates, students in 4th year. It will be biased towards valuation. And then our expectations of you, and then a general talk about the profession and how you can fit in and what to expect, the challenges, and how you can overcome all these challenges so that you can take on the valuation surveying profession comfortably and in line with basically what you have been studying. A brief about myself, yeah. I went to Green Hill Academy, which you might have heard about. Then I moved to Budo for 6 years. So yeah, I am a Budonian. Our school, I think, is over 110 years now or something of the sort. Thereafter, I went to Aridhi University. Aridhi is a Swahili word for land. So it is Aridhi University in Dar es Salaam. Part of the University of Dar es Salaam. And then as a land university, so the university has, it has courses, land management and valuation, quantity surveying, architecture, land surveying. So the university had only courses related to land. So construction management, quantity surveying, and all that. So that's where I was. And I was in Tanzania for 4 years for my course. And I stayed there for an extra year and I worked there. So that explains GIMCO. GIMCO is a Tanzanian valuation firm where I worked after graduating. Then I came back to Kampala. And during my internship, I was interning at East Africa Consulting Surveyors and Valuers. So after I graduated, then East Africa retained me. And then when I came back to Kampala, I started working for East Africa. And I should say it was the best training ground for me. And then in 2017, I went to do my master's. Oh, before that, I took on a postgraduate diploma in project planning and management. And there, my point is about adding on. After you have graduated with your BSGE, you need to keep adding on something. You need to keep upgrading. So I did a postgraduate diploma in project planning and management. Then that same year, I was able to go for my master's at Nottingham Trent University in the UK. And I did a master's in real estate. And I came back in 2019. I joined a private valuation firm called I moved government, been in both private and government practice. And I have also been, last year, I was a member of the valuation surveying chapter committee. I was the vice chair. And this year, I am the chairperson of the valuation surveying chapter. I am also, so that is profession-wise, yes. I am also a very sporty person. I play cricket and a few other sports, volleyball, I swim, I run. But majorly I play cricket and I play it at the national level. Yeah, so I am a lady cricket crane. I am also involved in Rotary and Rotaract. I am the Changemaker president of the Rotary Club of Kampala Sese Islands. And I am also the CEO of Little Stamps Academy, It is a cricket academy for children between 4 and 19 years old. So outside the profession, I also do cricket, I do Rotary, and I am also a qualified cricket coach, ECB level 2. And that could be a brief about me. In the introduction, President, there was something about PA, professional associate, but that was a long time ago. I am now a professional member of the Institution of Surveyors of Uganda, and I am also a registered surveyor of Uganda, valuation surveyor, and I'm the chapter chairperson. So yes, I am privileged to have the opportunity to speak to students about fitting into the valuation surveying job market. Now, a bit of a background about valuation. Valuation has not been in existence for such a long time, if I can compare it with countries like Tanzania and Kenya. The first valuers, and this was my first boss also, called E.S. Mungati, RSU E.S. Mungati, was among the first group of people that were trained by the government. They actually studied in the UK and very many others. And they were trained by the Ugandan government in the UK, where they studied valuation, and then they brought them back here to practice. So the valuers at the start, about 40 years ago, were very, very few. 30, 40 years ago were very few. And my boss then, Mr. Mungati, happened to become the first chief government valuer. And when I started working for East Africa, he used to share his stories. And they were really interesting. He said, as the chief government valuer, he had a plane to himself, you know, if he had to go and do rent assessment for a place in maybe Zimbabwe, where they wanted to open up the Ugandan embassy, he would be flown there. If the president was going to be in Gulu, like later today, he would also just be flown there. So there were very few, and they worked really hard. And that's how the profession started to grow. The institute, the Entebbe Institute, was also set up to train. It started with land surveyors mainly, but then, you know, diploma holders, valuation came up, but it started from land surveying. Land surveying has been here much longer than valuation surveying. So the numbers, people started to train, and these were being trained in either Dar es Salaam or Nairobi. So a number of the senior valuers that we have in the country got their undergraduate training. And I think then it was actually diplomas from Dar es Salaam and Nairobi. And so they came and practiced here, a few private practitioners, most of them were working under government, and that's how the profession kept growing. Then the children to the seniors were also sent to Dar es Salaam. And about 15 years ago, the course Land Economics was also started in Makerere University. Mr. Muhomuza can attest to that. Its LE hasn't been taught for such a long time. So yes, so there were graduates from Dar es Salaam, graduates from Nairobi, a few from the UK, and also Makerere started to release LE graduates. Now I studied in Dar es Salaam. The course that I studied is land management and valuation. And so we came out knowing that we are valuers. We could do land management, administration, and valuation. In there was real estate management, real estate finance, and a variety, everything related to real estate. So here in Makerere, the course was named Land Economics, and the university has been releasing graduates for some time now, and we have a good inflow of LE graduates. And I appreciate that. However, for them, for the graduates from Makerere, you know, we are just internalizing the idea that we are valuation surveyors, because then someone would come out calling themselves a land economist. But a land economist is The professional side to it is basically evaluation surveyor. And that's what we are called under the Institution of Surveyors of Uganda, which is an umbrella professional body for land surveyors, quantity surveyors, and the valuation surveyors. So that's a brief about valuation in the country, and it has evolved. There are a number of private valuation firms, valuers working in government. There are district valuers. There are some districts that still have district valuers. There's the Office of the Chief Government Valuer. There are in-house valuers in different agencies like UNRA, REA, UETCL, and even banks that we do work for have in-house, though they also outsource to private valuation firms. So generally, they are private practitioners and they are government practitioners. Now, we need to realize that private practitioners, they are a number of valuations that they do, and then government practitioners also do some other types of valuations. But all these valuations, you are taught in your 4 years at Makerere, and you're in position to actually do these valuations. So moving on to what fresh graduates are, when you have finished your course, actually, before I talk about what you would be doing, I will talk about your expectations as a fresh graduate or even a final year student. RSU talked about joining a professional body. And I would like to emphasize that even as a student, it's very important that you already align yourself with joining a professional body. So I may not have mentioned it, but some of you on the call, I'm sure know it. I am also a lecturer at Makerere University. I'm an assistant lecturer there in the Department of Construction Economics and Management. And I have told all the students that I have lectured that it is important that you join the ISU as student members. Student members have benefits. They have access to information that puts them at an edge over everyone else in class who has no idea or alignment towards a professional institution. So what we expect of you is that you're already a member of a professional body. You can be a student member. I was very impressed about a week ago. One of the first year students called me, and in this lockdown, she was working towards, gaining her student membership. She said, Madam, you have told us about this. I am trying to do this. So I told her that, yes, we're in a lockdown, but let her process her papers. Let her look through the website and understand what is required of her and lodge in her documents so that she can be taken on as a student member of ISU. So one, student membership of ISU. After you graduate, then you upgrade to a graduate member. So we expect that when you walk into the professional market, you already know there is ISU. At a global level, there is the RICS. So while I was a student in Dar es Salaam, I was a student member of RICS. And RICS also gives you exposure to information. You kind of understand what is happening at a global level. So if you're at ISU at the local level, at RICS at the global level, okay? Because we need to appreciate that the profession is moving. The other thing is, how do you understand professionalism to the level that you have a LinkedIn account? So I can see many of us are invested in Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, I don't know, Snapchat. But as a professional, as a young professional, that is where you're going. Do you have a LinkedIn account? Do you have a brief profile about yourself on your LinkedIn account? If unfortunately we're in COVID, but if these firms were looking out for people to take on for internship, all of you have put in your applications, yeah? All of you have lodged in, 10 of you from LE year 4 have lodged in your applications for internship. And the HR is just looking through, doing a background check on you. Do you have a LinkedIn account that talks about what you've done, the experience you have, who you are? Are you a leader at the university? Have you attended a CPD organized by ISU? Have you attended online, classes, something, a different course, something of additional information? Do you have a LinkedIn profile? Do you have an account there? Or you're just TikToking every day of this lockdown? Okay. Then the other thing, as people that are going into this world, especially for 3rd and 4th years in the LE class, your dress code. Okay. We are field people, but we need to be presentable. The first impression that anyone gets, any employer gets, is the way you dress. So some of these things start from the practice that you have at university. Many of you are told about presentations, and you come in skinny jeans for both the girls and the boys, okay? You come in skinny jeans. Some of you might be even indecently dressed. Can we try and present ourselves in a more professional manner? Can we present ourselves in a way that shows that this person, if I am asked to recommend 2-3 people in class, okay, for an internship or for an apprenticeship, like someone mentioned earlier, no one wants to have their name on the line for recommending a student that is not presentable, okay? So for the boys, some of you actually come in shorts. You're a 4th year student, you're in shorts, you're in a cap. Which kind of professional are you going to be? So let us learn how to present ourselves better, okay? Let us dress decently. Let us tuck in. For the ladies and gents, I expect you to, what most of you call diplo, okay? There are times when you need to present yourself that way. Even when you're going for these internships, you're taking your application letter and you're dressed up in jeans. Who is going to consider you? Because when you go into the companies, very many people are well-dressed. They are presentable. So we need to look into that. Start the training early enough, 3rd and 4th year, okay? Then, yes, your internship. What are your internship reports like? If East Africa gave you an opportunity to intern there for 3 months, would you leave that place with them thinking we need to call her back? She needs to join the company. We think that she has good energies here, okay? So once we go for internship, it's an opportunity to learn, yes, to learn on the job, to be trained, but you also need to leave an impact, okay? If you've been given an assignment, how fast do you do it? Once you do it, do you just submit it to your supervisor and run away because you want to leave office early? Or do you actually contact them and say, I've drafted out this, I had challenges here, but could you help me explain this and that and that? Okay, and once they've explained it, are you in position to correct what they have told you? Or you just go off with the attitude, those guys don't like me, they think I don't know what I'm doing. Yes, you know something that you're doing, but you only know so little, okay? So once we go for these internships, we should be ready to learn. We should be coachable and establish those friendships. The person training you will probably be a graduate member of ISU, will be a professional member. Actually, will be a professional member or yes, or an RSU. So they are looking at you, they're looking at your journey. How teachable is this person? Is she a person that I would like to maintain here at the farm? After she's finished 4th year, I will ask her to come and work with us. You need to leave that impression. You dress smartly, you keep time. I will talk about keeping time because for me as a professional, that is non-negotiable. I logged into the webinar at 3 minutes past 10. And at 3 minutes past 10, we were 33 on the call. Okay, I noticed RSU Tom was already there and Mr. Matov was also already there. Now we are the speakers. Now the students that are supposed to be listening to us had not logged in. And this is also characterized and very evident during our lectures, okay? So people come in late. You need to learn how to keep time. if you have an appointment for 11 o'clock, it is 11 o'clock. Actually, spare your chances and be there at 10:45, okay? So try and start to operate like a professional. Leave nothing to chance, okay? So if this meeting was closed, if it was capped at 100 people, people that logged in at 10:30 would probably have not had entrance into this webinar today. So you need to learn how to keep time. If it means foregoing whatever it is, please do so that you're there on time. Any professional, that's how they carry themselves. And whatever excuse, we understand that the society we are in, you could be late because of jam, you could be late because of that, but that is not an excuse. So even if it was the rain, that is not an excuse, okay? So while I was studying, I'll just share an experience with you. While I was studying in the UK, I had an appointment with my master's thesis supervisor. And we had an appointment for 10 o'clock. And he said, oh, let's have this meeting over coffee. And you know how, the whites are invested in coffee and having some, some hot beverage. And I said, yes. So I said, yes. And I was running late by 5 minutes. I practically came running to the meeting room, okay? And I got there at about 5 minutes past 10. And this supervisor told me, Naomi, we don't operate like this. If it is 10 o'clock, it is 10 o'clock. And because of this, unfortunately, we cannot have our meeting because I could schedule it for about an hour. If we start, if you're here at 10:05 and you're going to give me the stories of I was running late or this and this and that, or the bus was late, then this meeting would then be pushed for another 10-15 minutes into the hour of 11. And I can't stand that. I have an appointment at 11 and I'm sorry, and I'm just not going to do this. You're running late and I can't take it. And that's it. So I had gone for my supervision meeting and I couldn't have it because I was 5 minutes late. It doesn't matter whether you're 2 minutes late, 5 minutes late, or even a minute late, you're late. 10 o'clock is 10 o'clock. And that was a hard lesson for me. And if you're running late, at least make the communication. But some of you, even for our lectures, you bluntly walk in half an hour late, without any remorse, that's not the kind of professionals that we're looking for, okay? So those are the expectations, your dress code, the way you carry yourself professionally and all that. So as a fresh graduate, you need to make note of that, okay? So fresh graduates, what would be expected of you, or what are you going to do in the market? One, you're definitely going to be sent to site all the time. You're going to have to carry out field inspections. You will go with the person that is supervising you. Yes, we know you have finished your 4 years at Makerere. You have a first class in land economics, which is beautiful. And now you're out in the field. You will definitely have to go to the field. RSU Tom was talking about ladies that take themselves as Cinderella. Unfortunately, surveying is not exactly the profession that is going to have Cinderellas, okay? If you're going to the field, sometimes you can be very lucky that you're inspecting a residential house in Kololo, okay? Other times, you may not be lucky. You will be assigned to inspect 5 acres in, let's say, okay, I'll say maybe let's say 5 acres in Mitiana. Mitiana is my village, so I'll use my village as an example. You're going to inspect 5 acres. So while the land surveyor opens the boundaries, as the valuer, you need to work with them, okay? And in those 5 acres, there is a swamp somewhere. Are you not going to see the swamp? Are you not going to see an estimate of the size of the swamp that is in the 5 acres? Okay. Right now, we are looking at improving in technology, okay, because the trend is moving, but the physical inspection, you cannot stay away from it. So there are bushes. If you need to get the right outfit, I would recommend to the ladies, get the right outfit. If you need to get trousers for field, you need to get site boots, you need to get gum boots, carry them, take them to office, okay? Because you could have come to office on a Monday morning slaying in heels, and you know you've tucked in high waist skirt, you're looking the presentable valuer for urban valuations. But then an instruction comes in and you have to go to some, 3-acre garden, okay? Or some 3-acre construction site. You need to go there. You can't say that I will not go for inspection because today I'm in heels. You need to find a way, okay? So PPE is very important, and you need to organize yourself so that you can actually go to the field. This is one of the things that you would be expected to do. The other is data collection. For those of you that are fortunate enough to work with farms where you have to, they are probably working on different projects, land acquisition, RAPs, and all that, resettlement action plans, and they are working on a linear project. Maybe it could be a road, it could be something with UETCL, it could be the railway that they're trying to acquire land for. All those aspects, you will be sent as a fresh graduate, you will be sent to the project to collect data. So that is basically inspecting all the affected people. So you'll be filling in forms, data, and after that, when you come to the office, you also need to transfer that data from the forms to a set out template in the office, okay? The other thing is, and of course in the inspection, measuring is something that you can't stay away from, okay? So make sure your skills for measurements are top notch. You understand the guidelines for each of these things. If it is compensation that you're handling, you know the regulations that under which compensation valuations are done. You've read the guidelines. You are abreast with current information, policies that apply to the kind of valuation that you're going to undertake.
We've lost RSU Naomi. I think it's the network issue, but she should be back in a few minutes. Yes, as we wait for RSU Naomi to be back on, just a reminder that tomorrow we shall be having another webinar that will happen at 2 p.m. The logins are the same, and as the posters have already been shared, So I think in the meantime, as wait for our speaker to be back on. This recording shall also be shared on the M.A.S.S YouTube channel for those that have missed, so that you can ably benefit and also have a view of what has been happening. So I think we'll request the next presenter to carry on. In the interest of time. RSC William.
Hello.
Yes, you're most
Hello,
welcome.
Donald.
You're welcome, RSC
Thank you,
William.
Donald. Thank you, Donald. I'm hoping that I'm loud and clear.
Yes, you're loud and clear.
All right. Allow me to share my presentation. Share my screen. I'm hoping that people are seeing my screen shared.
Yes, you can see your screen.
All right. I'll first apologize that people will not be able to see my face physically. The gadget I'm using with me right here does not accommodate my physical appearance. So members will forgive me for that. Yes, I also want to add my voice, first of all, to thank M.A.S.S, the Makerere University Association of Surveying Students, for arranging this virtual presentation. I want to admit that during my days of university, I was also a member of, I was not only a member of M.A.S.S, but I was also a leader in M.A.S.S. I was a project coordinator too. I started by being a deputy project coordinator in the year 2004-2005. Then 2005-2006, I became a full project coordinator. So I appreciate all that you go through in preparation of these kind of workshops. So I want to thank you, Donald, and your team. Secondly, I want to thank the stewardship of Dr. M.A.S.S for mentoring you and giving you space to showcase your abilities through these arrangements. So Dr. M.A.S.S, thank you very much. I have interacted a number of times with him. While a student, he was my tutor and boss. Then somewhere along my career life, I also became his boss. So I'm a former employer of Dr. M.A.S. also. So I want to thank him. He's doing a great job. And I want also to thank the previous speakers, my colleagues. They have really given us very resourceful information. Thank you very much for the sharing so far done. It is very helpful, and I know our dear graduates are picking a lot from the presentations that have been so far made. Now, my presentation will basically, sorry. Okay, it has worked. Yeah, so my presentation is going to be very simple. I'll talk about myself briefly. Then out as they prepare to enter the job world, the crux of the matter is the graduate's dilemma, and then on what the turning point is to escape the dilemma. My network is showing me that it's a bit unstable. I'm hoping I'm still heard loudly and clear. Donald?
Yes, you are. You are clear.
Oh, thank you. Now, my name is William Matovu, and I tried to use one page to talk about myself. I'm a land surveyor, a land acquisition expert and consultant. To our graduates who may be not knowing about land acquisition is the act of compulsorily acquiring property, mainly by government, but also by private entities, where they acquire land and different properties for either infrastructure development or for any form of project that may be undertaken. And in doing this, they also do compensate, or they pay for the lost properties where such projects are going to be done. But most importantly, that compensation, our laws require that it must be adequate and fair, but also done prior to taking possession of such compensated properties. So I'm an expert in that area, and I'm also a consultant in that area. I did Bachelor of Science in Surveying from Makerere University, and I completed my program in 2007. I also added on to my CV with a M.A.S.S of Science in Management, which I did from the University of Leicester. It was a distance learning program with the UK in 2014. I got a certification in land acquisition, resettlement, and social sustainability from the University of Groningen, Switzerland. That program, I undertook it through correspondence in Maputo, Mozambique. Then I also have a certification in the World Bank Environment and Social Framework, and that I did it in Addis Ababa in Ethiopia. It was conducted by the World Bank in 2018. I'm a registered surveyor of Uganda so many years ago, and I'm a fellow with the Institute of Surveyors of Uganda. Now that is the highest rank in the Institute of Surveyors of Uganda. So I'm at the highest peak where most of you, I want to implore you to come. Now my life, I'm an entrepreneur right from my school days. I'm a transformative leadership coach. I'm also a leader, trained and acquired. I'm a financial literacy trainer of trainers. I know some of you require these financial literacy sessions along your career path. So feel free to contact me anytime after here. Then of course, I got certifications in areas of financial literacy. I was trained and certified by Bank of Uganda in 2017. I also undertook leadership programs, 2 leadership programs, one from the National Leadership Institute in Chankwanzi, and the other one was a program, a leadership development program called EXCEED, which took 1.5 years. It was conducted by the executive director of UNRA, and the target groups were top executives of UNRA. UNRA is Uganda National Roads Authority, and URF is Uganda Road Fund. So my work experience, I was a director in a survey firm owned and proprieted by myself called M.A.S.S Limited between 2007 and 2019. Then along the way, I also participated in the transformation that happened in KCCA. KCCA is Kampala Capital City Authority. And that time around 2011, when it was transforming from KCC, formerly Kampala City Council, into KCCA. So I was one of the people that participated in that transformation, and I headed the survey section in 2011 to 2013. Then I left, I went back into private practice with Matt and Spencer. Then in 2015, I was contacted by UNRA, and I joined it in 2016, where I became the head of land acquisition up to December 2020. Now, currently, I trade as Matt Bite Bakery, where I'm the managing director, and I also work as the chief executive officer for Wilder Industries Limited, and that is my current work that I do. Now, I want to begin by understanding our situation as graduates. Now, as graduates, ideally, or the ideal school leaver, as we all know, both understood by you, the graduates, understood by the public, our sponsors of the programs that we've done, the land surveyors, the valuation surveyors, and the quantity surveyors. We expect that you have gained some training and you are literate, you can count, you are happy, you are considerate, you are honest, name it, come up with anything good. We have already seen, if it wasn't for COVID, we have already seen people organizing parties, graduation parties. So it's a time of jubilation, meaning every good thing is affiliated to leaving school, graduating with good degrees. So people are happy, whether a first class, whether the past degree, everyone is happy that they are leaving school at that stage. So meaning name everything that makes one happy is what is expected at this moment when you are leaving school, isn't it? So I believe that is so. Now, when you leave school, we start seeing these things happening to the graduates. We see ambition, an ambitious graduate, yet without any empowering vision and sense of mission. Now, because of the excitement, some of us forget that we are now entering a totally different environment, which require a prepared mind, which requires someone to plan. The first presenter talked about writing a plan. Now, as you prepare to graduate, you should have already written your plan as you enter a new environment. Some of you that are good researchers, I know before you enter any new environment, you seek some understanding of what that environment is. To bring it into perspective, some of you that have traveled out of the country, you usually take that vaccination, which is called the yellow card fever. Now that vaccination prepares you for the new environment you are about to enter when you leave the plane in another country. So if you don't do that, you may end up meeting different health challenges. So even when you are leaving school, you are expected to prepare yourself, both physically and in mind. So some of us graduates become so excited and we forget that we need actually to be empowered with some vision, what we expect of our future, and then a sense of mission, what we should start with. Secondly, we also see failure of the young people to find their own beat. Now, we usually don't appreciate the strength that we hold and also the weaknesses that we hold. And because of that, we fail to match our own selves. And when we meet serious crises along the way, we many times cowardize and run away from them. Most of you remember a former vice president called Dr. Wandira Kaziwa. I don't know whether some of you were born, but I want to believe that some of you were born when we had a vice president who was called Dr. Wandira Kaziwa. She formerly said that Ugandans live by accident without goals and targets. And that gives reasons for low achievement in life. So I'm using her quote to relate it to what today's school leaver is. So we joined that group of Ugandans, young Ugandans mainly, who live without goals and targets because they have got that certificate, that transcript, so they think they have attained it all and forget that they need to work around their goals. They need to work around what they anticipate to be through setting targets and all that. So are you that kind of graduate that is leaving school today? Now, what is the major challenge? Now, the major challenge is that we have failed to be honest to ourselves. We have failed to do a critical self-stock taking as we leave school. We tend to leave what has been taught to us there, and then we randomly enter the environment of work, job hunting. But what are you hunting for? And have you found out what the employers want in a surveyor? Have you tried to do that extensive research to understand the opportunities that are available? Do you even know some of the prominent survey firms around that employ people every year and how many, so that you can know the opportunities you have for every survey firm that employs young surveyors every year? Do you know of any other alternative institutions and organizations, parastatals, that take on surveyors despite their qualifications, but because of the acquired knowledge in school? So have we tried to learn around ourselves as we go out of school? So that is the challenge that we have identified in most of the graduates. They don't really extensively find out prior to entering into that environment you are going to. And if you don't do that, then you are bound to be frustrated the way the first presenter told us. You are bound to be worried, scared of anything small that scares you. So I want to challenge you to prepare your mind. So what is the dilemma? What is the graduate's dilemma? Now, the dilemma of our graduates today is that we are very sure you are all highly schooled at the moment, and yet you are not educated. I don't know whether you get me when I say that. Now, when I say you are highly schooled but not educated, what I mean is that to be educated is to enhance your mental capability to function effectively in familiar and novel situations, both in personal and intellectual life. In brief, to be educated, we expect you to have acquired knowledge, and most of it is general knowledge or general information. Secondly, to be educated, we expect you to have improved and enhanced your thinking abilities. To be educated, we expect that you have also enhanced your language abilities. That is, you can communicate effectively. To be educated, we expect that you have got a mindset change. You are no longer students now. You are entering into a world, a competitive world that is a mixture of so many minds. So you must be able to adopt and change your mindset. And lastly, to be educated, I expect that you have that independence in learning and accepting to learn. So many of you, yes, you have been schooled by Dr. Msinguzi and his team at the university, but are you educated? Secondly, we are very sure that you are well read, but you may not be learned. You have read all the books, you have made project presentations, and you have passed them. But are we producing a learned graduate? Graduate. Are we producing someone who is fit to enter the job market? So how do you assess that you are learned? Now, a person who is learned is one who underrates their own intelligence, but overvalues other people's importance in the job environment. I'll give you an example. When you are given a job, you are a fresh graduate from the university, you are a land surveyor, has given you a job. So it is your first week, your first month, your first year of employment. So how do you treat yourself in your first job? How do you behave as a profession? Are you the kind of person who, because you got a first class, you don't want to listen to any other person? Because in the lot that has been employed, you are the only one with the first class. So you want to be the one giving ideas, the one giving the first proposals, and you are not giving a listening ear to others. Now that is not someone who is learned. Someone who is learned underrates their own intelligence, but value other people's importance. And largely, through my experience, learned people are usually shy in public. So they don't try, they fear standing out always. They want to be seen by their actions. They want to be seen by their results. So that is what I've seen with people who are learned. So I want to pose a question to you, my dear graduates who are leaving school. Are you the type that is learned? Are you the type that is educated? Now that is a question I want to leave to you. Now, having seen all that, what is the turning point as we leave school? What should we do so that we can fit into the job market? What is expected of us? There are basically three things that I want to share with you, which will comprise the turning point in our lives as we enter into the job market. As a reminder, the presentation I'm making, it applies to all functions: land surveying, land valuation, and quantity surveying. It applies to all of us as we enter into the job market. Dear listeners, if you want to change and fit into the job market as you leave school, you have to master yourself. And how do you master yourself? You must head for a personal revolution. Now, I'm choosing these words carefully because I want you to take them also carefully, because in one way or another, you will come across them, or you will come across situations that require you to apply some of these things I'm telling you. So you have to be very carefully, attentively listening to these words that I'm telling you, because I've chosen them very carefully. Now, head for a personal revolution. What is a revolution? We all know, we have read, some of you are historians. I don't know whether we have historians in land surveying, in quantity surveying, and land evaluation, but I know you have read some history in one way or another. Now, a revolution is a turnaround of a predominant way of thinking. Or if you do things in a way to better yourself, then you are doing a revolt in your life. Now, to acquire personal revolution, first of all, you must have a definitive change in your thinking, in your life, in your anticipations. You must really focus on something. That's what I call definitive change. Anything you want to achieve in life, it must be focused. To have personal revolution, you must that you want to be, or what you want to really be, must be a choice. For you to have freedom during your work exposure, all it must really be a personal decision of what you want to be in life. If you don't do that, then you are bound to start around without any focus. Now, if you must have personal revolution, you must revolt against the old way of doing things. Now, the old way, what is the old way of doing things? I want to give you an example of myself. I started so early to enter into the land surveying practice. I actually started practicing while in second year at the university. That was in the year 2005, 2006, when I went out for the first industrial training. So I trained with KCC and Wakiso district, and I was retained. So I started practicing while schooling at an early stage. Now, I will confess that the senior surveyors then that I was looking up to, none of them had a formal survey farm or an office during my training days. I remember my senior mentee, the one who trained me mostly, his office was a double cabin. So whenever you make an appointment, he tells you, be here, I'm coming to pick you. So you stand along the street with his double cabin, he picks you. All his paperwork is in the double cabin. So that was mainly the office of those senior colleagues of ours that mentored us. So you can imagine the time that we were trained. Now, when I was leaving school, just like you are doing, I had to make a choice whether to also aim having an office in a double cabin or having a decent office where I can meet my clients as and when I want to interact with them. So I had to make a choice that as I leave school, I must actually have a trade name and I must be looking forward to opening up an office. Just like someone was asking whether it is really ideal to open a survey firm, a consultancy firm right now, I indeed registered my first survey firm in July 2007. meaning I started earlier to work on the paperwork. So, and that is the time when I was completing my first degree, surveying at the university. So as I completed, I had actually registered a survey firm, and at that time it was called M.A.S.S Surveyors Limited. But I didn't have an office, but I knew I would need it. So I got my certificate of registration and kept it at that time, because I had a vision of trading formally, different from the old way I was seeing things, the old way I was being trained by my senior mentors who didn't have offices. So this is the planning that I'm talking about. If you want to start a revolution, a personal revolution, you need to start thinking outside the box and move away from the old way of doing things and start being creative. Now, you must also be able to push yourself to foster new habits. Now, we all know that the things I'm telling you at times are not easy, but it is what is required in the job environment. The job environment is like a revolution. You must actually approach it like a revolution. Allow me to give you a reference. When you have time, you can read about personal revolution, and I know you pick a lot of on how you can manage yourself as you leave university. There is a book I want you to write. It's called Personal Revolution. You can write it. The author is called Allison Tusk. Allison is Allison. Then Tusk, the way you know a Tusk. Allison Tusk. The book is Personal Revolution. In your free time, you can read about it. You learn a lot about preparing yourself into the new job environment. The second thing to master yourself is that you must prepare yourself for the worst and the best of the uncertain. The uncertain is the environment we are entering into. Many of us are going to start hunting for jobs, submitting applications. I know some of you have called me looking for placements, and I've guided you here and there. Now, as you do that, it means that the environment you are entering in is obviously uncertain. So are you prepared to face the consequences? Are you prepared if an opportunity comes to utilize it to the best of your ability? So this is the time you should start thinking through all those possibilities, that as you move out, anything can happen. You may be lucky, get your first job, but fail to demonstrate ability for your employers to get satisfied of what you can do. Likewise, you can get your first opportunity so early, and you also demonstrate your ability, and people will like you. So this is the time, if you want to actually be the right candidate in the job environment that we are entering into, this is the right time to prepare yourself. I'm one person who does not believe in failure, and I believe that anything is possible so long as we are prepared to confront it. But if we are scared to confront these challenging times, then trust me, everything you touch will be challenging. So as you master yourself after this level of education, are you willing to learn and change according to the uncertainties of the future? Now, an open-minded personality is what today's job environment requires. When I was in UNRA, I'm one of the people that actually employed the majority surveyors in our country. When I joined UNRA in 2016, I looked into its structure of land acquisition department, and they only accommodated 13 land surveyors. And then they accommodated 16 land valuers and 5 sociologists. And they gave me a mandate to ensure that in our country, I manage active projects that were over 44. Active projects, when I say active, they had contractors, and every contractor needed land, working space, so that because they also work with time, they had contracts specified time. So within a given period of time, they must have completed that project. So I had a mandate to ensure that all those 44 projects that had contractors on ground, I provide land for them. And I entered a department or a job which was top crisis in the country. People were rioting everywhere. People were holding placards, Mutusasule, Rinulanzibi, government etubye, etute ebintu byaffe. Now that is the kind of job I inherited. And I had to cause change. But that change didn't have time. It was immediate change that was required. It was change of today, not tomorrow. And that was the task ahead of me. And here I was, I had an imbalanced structure that was approved, that I found. I had 16 valuers, and I told you I had 13 surveyors. Now, of course, a valuer's work is completed with the surveyor's input. So there was an imbalance. So what I did, I had to immediately write a proposal so that the structure is revised. So I had to introduce both permanent and temporary positions if we are to achieve that immediate change that they needed of me. And because of the good initiative in revising the structure and demonstrations that I did, I was able to be given the opportunity of recruiting new skilled personnel, surveyors and valuers. So by the time I left UNRA, I was actually employing over 50 land surveyors. I was also employing over 50 land valuers and sociologists. And they also included both consultants and non-consultants. So the message I'm communicating is that as you master yourself, you must also be willing to learn in this environment. Even if you are recruited as the best advisor, your subordinates can actually teach you. So be willing to listen and give space for people to give you additional information as you enter into this world. Now, what that helps is that it will start building your career, and it will start building your legacy. So the time of making your legacy is now as you leave university. The way you behave, the way you conduct yourself, the way you adapt to learning to learn is the legacy that will always follow you. So be a master of your game by accepting to learn, by accepting to face any challenges that may come across as you begin the new life of working. Now, the second turning point is to master the environment around us. As graduates, I've already talked about reading and appreciating the environment we are entering. You need to be ready to confront the real life in the real world. That is where you are going now, and adjust from the artificial life you lived at the university. Now remember, Dr. Musinguzi and his team, while training you, their expectation from you is that the way they would assess whether you are learned is by testing you through exams. So what they expected of you is to have memory and ability to reproduce and pass exams. Reproduce what they have taught you and pass your exams. Now, when you do that, most of you are happy right now because you successfully did that and you passed your exams. That's why you are graduating. But is it what the real world expects of us? In the real world, the scarcest resource that is needed is called creativity. You are all seeing that? Creativity, I put it in red so that you can all see it. I think it will not miss most of your eyes being in red. That is the scarcest resource that you need as you move out into this job environment. And there are no answers, and nobody can claim to be in possession of the marking scheme for creativity. Creativity is the use of imagination and original ideas to create something. In other words, turning new and imaginative ideas into reality is what I mean by creativity. And to be creative is having ability to perceive the world with new ways or in new ways or with new ideas. Is having ability to find hidden patterns in this environment we are entering. Network is distracted a bit. Donald, am I heard now?
Yes, you're on now.
All right. I'm talking about creative minds. They call for ability to generate solutions. So basically, if be called creative, or if you must be seen as someone who is creative, two things must be seen in you. The first thing is you must be able to think. Thinking. The second thing is you must be able to produce. Now, when you develop an idea and you have a series of ideas, there is this saying which I come across in the job world, that abantu abavu baba n'ebirowoozo bingi. You have come across that poor people always come up with a lot of ideas. Now, if you are able to develop those ideas, you have started thinking, or you are thinking. Now, but you have not yet become creative. Now, if you put those ideas into action, if you implement some, you may not implement all of them, but if you start implementing some of those ideas, then you have started producing. Now, to be creative, you must develop ideas and implement or action some of them. Then there, you are a creative person. And when I was employing those surveyors I've told you, I was also looking for creativity and innovativeness. And I was very strict on that, because I would tell it through interviews. I put a requirement that all surveyors that are coming to my department, I must actually be able to interview all of them, because I wanted to pick the right people that I needed because of the mandate I had that I told you. I didn't need people that are time wasters. I needed people that would transform with me with immediate action. So I made sure that I interviewed all of them, but trust me, I was looking for creativity in those applicants. So are we ready to be creative as we enter into the job market? Remember, if you have ideas, but you don't act on them, then you are merely imaginative, but not creative. Now, lastly, as I wind up my presentation, the other thing we need, if we have to change as we enter into the job market, we must be willing to boost our willingness to keep learning and dreaming. Now, this one, I'm going to overemphasize it because career is a process. Some of you that read widely, you may have come across the 6 principles of modern career development. Now, the first one is assessment, the second is investigation, the third is preparation, commitment, retention, and the last one is transition. Now, for me, I want to stress the last one, which is transition. As you leave university, you are transiting, isn't it? You are transiting from school life to employment life. Now, every part of our life is full of transitions. So when you have time, you can read about modern career development processes, but I want to talk about transition. Using myself, I have lived a transiting career life. When I was beginning, I told you my work experience. Now, when I was leaving university, you have ably noted that I opened up my farm in 2007 as I was leaving university, meaning I had a dream. Now that dream was to develop into a financially independent profession. Now to do that, I needed to aim for independence in everything. Independent. In everything I did, I was aiming at being independent. So when I left school, all my focus was being an independent profession, an independent land surveyor. And I didn't want, or I even never thought of working for government because it was not my thing. I didn't want to work for government. I didn't want to be employed. I don't know whether it was because I had been exposed early enough. Like I told you in my second year, I was already interacting with the world. Now, I started off working with my farm. But during my work experience, I used to meet a lot of challenges with land offices, processing people's titles. I will do the field work in record time, make my reports in record time, compute job record jackets in record time, but I would lose a lot of time on submission of the record jacket, the survey file at the district. Now, because I did not manage that component, that's why I used to lose a lot of time. Now, in my mind, I would have some kind of thinking that when I'm given an opportunity to be that person who is delaying my time in the land office, I can cause change. I can transform and allow people process their things very fast. Now, I used to have that mind, but definitely I would answer myself straight and say, I don't want to work for government. I would leave it there. But whenever I would meet that challenge, I would think about that. If I'm this person, if I'm the district staff surveyor, I would make sure that people's files move very fast. If I'm this person, whenever I would meet a challenge, but of course I had already my vision that I don't want to work for government. So I would leave it there. Little did I know that people are actually appreciating my work. The people that were my clients, the private environment, the people that I would work for. So in 2011, I just got an anonymous call from KCCA, and I was attending a family function in my home village, and I was playing a focus role in the family. So I had spent a lot of money, and my account was left with very little money just to keep my family. So I received that call on a rare day, given that it was at a government office. It was a Saturday when I received the call from KCCA. And they told me that they needed me very early in the morning at 7:30 at City Hall. So when I tried to inquire why, they told me, you come, you'll find everything there. So I left village on Sunday, and by 7:30, I was at City Hall. Then I met a lady who looked to be the secretary, and then she gave me an envelope. Now, when she gave it to me, she told me, sit there, open it, read it. When you are okay with it, you tell me. So I opened it and read it. And guess what the title was? That you have been appointed to join the task force to assist the executive director in managing Kampala Capital City Authority. Now, this is the person reading who has never admired to work for government, and it was never part of my vision. And someone I didn't know recommended me, and a letter has already been written. No one has interviewed me, no one has done anything, and I've been told to join the task force. So if you are you, how do you respond if you read such a letter and it is not anywhere in your vision that you want to work for government? So I asked the lady, the secretary, that what are the terms of reference? Because when I read through, there was no written salary, there was nothing. They just said you have been appointed to assist as a land surveyor, but they didn't share details. So I was asking the lady, what are the terms of reference? Then the lady just told me, are you accepting or not? So she put me in a fix. Now in my mind, I had used all the money I had on me. An opportunity had come. Then I said, let me give it a try. Maybe someone recommended me, someone that may manifest to me at one time. So I said, it is okay. So she called me and told me, leave your account number here and the details of your bank, and then prepare to start working in 3 days. Now, the following day, this is a true story that I'm telling you. The following day, I received 6 million on my account. I didn't know whether that was the pay for a month. I don't know what it was for, but I received it from KCCA. And I needed money. I didn't have money. So I started working in 3 days. That's how I joined KCCA. But up to now, I have left government work, but no one has ever manifested to me as a recommender for me to join KCCA. So because I accepted, I gave 100. Yes, please.
With the interest of time, we're requesting you to kindly summarize.
Thank you. I'm actually on my last slide. Thank you very much.
Okay,
Just give me
thank you.
2 minutes, I'll be done. So the point I'm making is that always be willing to keep learning and dreaming big and bigger. Always look for your dominant dream. We always have dreams, but we never actualize any of those dreams. So whereas my dream was not to work for government, I ended up being in government because of the good deeds that people were seeing in me as a land surveyor. When you take on a job, you do it 100%, you do it with 100% commitment. The world is seeing you, and the world will give you so many opportunities. So I want to thank you. That is the end of my presentation, and enjoy my product everywhere you are. In all major stores, you can look for Matbite bread, the sweetest bread that is going to take up the market of Kampala Metropolitan. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Matovu. Thank you so much for sharing with us.
You're welcome.
For the sake of time, the questions for Mr. Matovu will take only 5 minutes. So Donald has shared the questions, the first questions. Mr. Matovu, if you can see them.
Yes, I can.
Please proceed.
Okay, thank you very much. I can see the first question is it better to outsource work from your own home country or abroad? Now, for me, the way I look at work, I'm open-minded. Wherever it comes from, whether it's within your home country or abroad, you are beginners into this job environment, give it a shot. Whether it's here or abroad, give it a shot. As you partake on that job, you are acquiring knowledge, and then you are growing your skills, and you are gaining experience wherever you are. But caution is, as you take on that role, whether in your home country or abroad, give it 100% commitment. How much experience is required of someone? This is a good one. Experience matters. When I'm employing you as a fresh graduate, of course, I'm cognizant that you don't have experience. So what I do before I bring you on board, my organization must be equipped with a package that will train you for some time before pressurizing you and questioning that result of you. So I'll make sure that I train you. So if the environment of my organization allows for training, then I'll take you on as a fresh graduate. Then I train you, I give you time. Then when you adhere and pick up very fast, I move with you. So it really looks at the different organizations and their requirements. What are the acceptable ways of land acquisition? I don't know what this question requires, but acceptable ways of land acquisition. Land acquisition is constitutional, and according to our land tenure system, where land belongs to the people or the citizens of the country, it means that the top criteria of land acquisition must be really done compulsory, because land is owned by people, not by government. And in doing that, the Constitution requires that you give a fair and adequate compensation before you take possession. So I think really it is through compulsory acquisition. What more skills do I require in addition to the profession ones? This is a good one. I'll be very fast. You require management skills to partake on your roles. You require an open mind so that you are able to learn from others. You require to keep updating your knowledge and skills. So that is called it's called skills enhancement. So when you finish your degree, it's not the end of it all. Even when you go to your first job, always encourage yourselves to enhance your skills through those tailor programs. When ISU calls for those webinars, those conferences, please make sure that if you are eligible, attend to them. So as you do that, you are gaining more skills, you are developing your career, and that is what employment requires. How all the surveying courses be connected to each other? I don't know what this one meant. It is not very clear how all the surveying courses be connected. That one needs to be modified, but what I know is that all the functions of surveying are interlinked. One feeds into the other. During the quantity surveying presentation, they talked about construction environment. Now, construction, when you talk about construction, a surveyor, a land surveyor falls there, a valuation surveyor falls there. So these programs are interlinked to one another. How did they get their first jobs? Was it easy? Did they require connections? I just shared one of the moments how I got my first government job. It was because of my deeds, the rigors that I did during private practice that gave me my first government job. So I believe for you who has not yet created any legacy, you must apply to get one. Thank you very much. I think I've tried to attempt these ones.
Yes, from the chat room, we shall take about 2 questions. One from Lugamba Gerard is asking, how can we deal with brokers in the surveying market? They always do cadastral work cheaply. Some open boundaries at 200K. That is undervaluing our profession. That's the first question.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, the other question, someone is asking, what are some of the master courses for engineering survey? Then also, what are some of the institutions that teach masters in engineering survey and hydrographic surveying?
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Yes, please.
To begin with the last one, some of the master courses in surveying, I'll relate to myself. When I was looking for a master's program, I was asking questions to myself. And the only fields that I could do in master's at the time were GIS, hydrology, areas of hydrology, and then geodesy, areas of geodesy. Now, I also wanted to relate myself to the working environment. So I was asking myself, if I did any of those programs, what added advantage will they be to my exposure at the moment? So when I looked into myself, when I tried to master myself, I realized that the mode of my work, I'm an employer, I manage people, I manage my clients, I manage my finances. So meaning there was an element of management. So for me personally, I chose to go for a master's in management. But I know we now have a number of areas where we can master in line with our profession. I've seen people doing masters in GIS. I think we have a program, Dr. Msinguzi will clarify on that. We have a program in masters, in Masters of Science in GIS, something like that. We have master's programs elsewhere abroad in hydrology, in geodesy. I don't know whether some of them have been introduced at the university. Here back home, I would request that Dr. clarifies on that, Dr. Msinguzi. But it all comes back to you, what you really want to be. It's not a matter of doing masters. Yes, it may be required at one stage if you want, or if you must go into senior management positions, but you must also be strategic as you take on your master's programs. You have to make sure that you strategically choose the area of mastering in. If you are retained by the university, then I encourage you to master in line of your professional career life, what you are teaching at the university, or what you are bound to teach at the university. If you are one, because I know surveyors who have gone into auditing, they have been taken up by other organizations. Then they end up mastering in M.A.S., they end up mastering in financing. So it really comes back to the individual to choose a mastering course to take. How do we deal with brokers in the surveying environment? Because they charge cheaply, whereas we cannot go that low. Now, for me, I have one simple principle. Because for me, the issue of brokers does not worry me. I know the level it worries me is that it is spoiling our profession. At that level, it is a consortium between the private practitioners and government to work out ways of dealing with brokers. But at a personal level, I'm not worried by brokers. Why? Because if I get that one job that has been given to me, I make sure that I do it to the best of my ability. I do it in a timely manner. I do it in a satisfactory manner. Because I have done that with that first job, then I'm bound to receive many more jobs because of how I executed the first one. So when you really acquire that approach, then the brokers will not really bother you because they will charge cheaply. You will also still work because I believe we have a lot of work. When you read the statistics of surveying, land surveyed in our country, all titles acquired, I think they are less than 10% land surveyed in our country, less than 10%. Yes, so there is still more work, and government still has programs of making sure that the entire land of our country is surveyed. So it is really how you do your first job that matters. So brokers shouldn't really bother us. Thank you very much.
All right.
Thank you very much, Mr. Matovu. There are so many other questions in the chat room, but we don't have enough time. So I'm requesting, if they have a way of contacting you, could you please leave it?
Oh, okay, thank you. You can write my numbers, my telephone numbers. The first one is MTN 0774 571 740. There's some noise that is coming through.
Hello, Mr. Matovu. Hello?
Someone has muted me. Am I heard?
Yes,
Hello.
you are. Yes, you are. You're heard.
Okay. Okay, thank you. So I was saying, I was reading out my MTN line. It is 0774 571 740. Then my Airtel line is 0700 15 15 and 15. You can also get me on email at William Matovu. You don't leave any space. William Matovu 96@gmail.com. William Matovu 96@gmail.com. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Matovu. Miss Naomi, we are ready for you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity once again. I fell off the call, unfortunately, but I am happy to continue with the presentation. How many minutes do I have? I'll probably...
15. Like 15?
15.
Okay, please. Thank you very much. Yeah, that list should be done by 1:15. Okay, well, I was still addressing the issue that as fresh graduates, we would be involved greatly in research. And I was explaining the rationale, just like the research that you carry out in your final year. Once you move into the profession, you're going to be required to be part of research projects here and there. I'll give a scenario. About 3 years ago, the valuation surveying chapter chairperson then, Mr. Paul Mongati, started up a project to establish a valuation database. So something around comparables for land and all that. I was at East Africa, and the company had just employed 2 graduates from Makerere University. I think one Makerere and the other Chambogo. And he immediately put them onto that project where they had to collect data, where they had to analyze this data and try and work with a system online, a database system to input this data, sort it, analyze it. And we came up with, and the valuation chapter came up with a database that has been helping the profession. But the energies, the idea was thought about by RSU Paul Mongati, but amongst the people that he worked with were fresh graduates, and they were greatly involved in the research. So as fresh graduates, we'll also be required to be part of research work. Different projects, I know in government, graduates are employed to do research with regards to district rates, compensation rates, and different aspects. So you will definitely be asked to be part of research. So that is about basically what you would be required to do, and you need to be on top of your game when this is asked of you. As you get into the profession, what challenges will you face? The first presenter talked about rejection. Sometimes you take your application, and before you leave the offices, it has already been put in the, in the bin. I am hoping and praying that that doesn't happen to any of us. At least our applications should be received, yeah. But you'll also face a challenge of delayed response. People apply, and at the time when you drop in your applications, maybe the evaluation firm is not recruiting, okay? Or maybe they don't have any active project to put you on, to recruit you and put you on. So they kind of wait, they give it time. Probably it's coming to the end of that financial year. And so they don't have space for you then. They might come through 6 months down the road. And in those 6 months, you're thinking, I put applications here and there and there. Why are these people not getting back to me? So you should also be expectant that sometimes you're not going to put in your application in June, and the response comes out in July. The other aspect is if you've gotten in there, you have started working at a valuation firm, sometimes you're going to be given outrageous tasks or really challenging tasks. At Makerere, you have been taught plant and machinery, you've been taught valuation of natural resources, you've been taught valuation of different assets, okay? And then you're at work, you're given an assignment that is related to valuation of intellectual property. Okay, will you just say, guys, I've never learned that. I have no idea what this is. I don't know what to do. How would you go about it? Those are the skills that they are looking for. How innovative are you? Can you spend 1 or 2 days, nights, burning that midnight candle, trying to understand what intellectual property as an asset class is? Okay. Do you know, or can you make a few calls and find out which valuers in town are valuing intellectual property? Has any of your classmates been involved in such an assignment so that you can share notes or they can tell you about their experience? Okay, so that the next day, in 3 days' time, when your supervisor is asking you about this, you have something to say. You're a bit knowledgeable about the asset class that they have assigned you to value. Okay, so once you get, do not say, oh, I didn't learn this, we were never taught this. No, you're in the market and you need to show that you're actually the best fit. So take some time and read. Fortunately, information now is on Google. Information can be accessed via the reading material at the ISU. Information can be gotten from fellow colleagues, okay? So once you are a member, there are pages, valuation surveying pages, WhatsApp pages, you can make an inquiry. Even at office, the people that you're working with, you can find out, okay? Then unethical business. This is a big challenge in our profession, and the past presenters have talked about it. How do you handle the situation when you're asked to do something outside ethical alignments? Okay, it could be someone that is telling you, and I've seen it in the chat box, people are compensating PAPs, and you know the valuer puts in, they say, if you add us a few more millions, you know, you'll have a cut of 3 million from the award that I get. Are you going to be that valuer that wants to start out this way? And once this happens and it all backfires, you're going to lose your professional identity. You're going to face the disciplinary committee. Your license in life will be, you know, suspended, and there'll be not much for you to hold on to in the career. So you need to stand your ground. At the university, Dr. Msinguzi and the team are teaching you ethics, professional ethics, and you need to stand those. As a fresh graduate, we need to see you exuding ethics, holding them at high priority. The other challenge is you could start working at a valuation firm and they're also not very busy. The work is not coming through as much as you expected or as much as they hoped. And so you go 2-3 days without a field inspection. How are you going to use that time when you're at office? Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, you have not gone for an inspection. Can you use that time to read the office files? Can you use that time to read valuations that have been completed in that office? Can you have a discussion with colleagues in the office? Okay, I can see you worked on Gayaza Zero Way Road land acquisition project. How did you do it? What challenges did you find? I was looking through the assessments and some PAPs photographs were not there. Why is it? What happened? How did you do disclosure? Can you spend that time productively reading reports, making inquiries, having discussions with colleagues at office so that you improve your knowledge? The other challenge that you might face is working overtime. So when the deadlines are there, the company has a bid to submit, or this client has given the company maybe 2-3 days to submit the report, and in one of those days your supervisor asks you to work overtime. Are you going to make the most noise about it, or you're actually going to put in the miles so that this assignment, this particular assignment, is finished on time? And then it will also show your supervisor that you're willing to sometimes be inconvenienced for the sake of the company, for the sake of handing in an assignment on time, because you understand what deadlines are, and you're happy to help. You're happy to stay an extra hour after 5, okay? You're happy to stay till 6 to help the person finish the report. It shouldn't be such a big ask. And also because it doesn't happen always. So once someone sees that you're that understanding, you understand deadlines, you understand, the assignments and terms of reference, then they have a good bias towards you. They think if you want work done, then talk to Jemima, work with Jemima, you will finish this assignment. And the last aspect that I am going to talk about is packaging yourself as a fresh graduate, a fresh valuer, someone that is just getting into the market. How do you package yourself so that you have a niche over all your classmates, or you have a niche over other valuers in the market? You need to display knowledge and understanding of different aspects in valuation. I will start with just comparables and market information. That is not so much to ask. You need to show that you understand, that you know. Do not be the graduate valuer that is always asking, Chira, what rate are we looking at? All the time you're asking, can you do some research by yourself and say, I am looking at rates, land. I have had a chat with a broker. I have seen online listings, and a plot of land right now in Chira is going for about 50-60 million. What information do the rest of you have, or how has the trend been moving? Present the knowledge that you have, the understanding, and then let others support you. And now these information and knowledge levels have to be about a wide variety of things. Of course, valuation first, but do you also know, when you go to the field with a land surveyor, do you have an idea about what he's doing? If he misses a markstone, are you just going to walk away from that? If he's orienting the title wrongly, can you help him with that? Can you say, I think, we're not picking the right north? Or you're just practically, you have no idea what the land surveyor is doing. If you've been, if the work involves analysis of some BOQs, a project is still under construction, a building, and they've sent you BOQs, can you interpret them? Do you know what they are talking about? So you also need to have some knowledge about the related practices. In application, can you present a well-written out CV and application letter? Presentation, grammar, font, the envelope in which you put it. Is your work neat? Does it look professional? Is your CV professional? Or you're just going to write 3/4 of a page and submit that? Okay. Volunteering. Are you ready to volunteer at these different firms? I know that, yes, you have not studied 4 years to come out and volunteer, but some of these places, that is how you get your feet into. If you have looked up the UN, most of their startup positions are volunteering positions, okay? They'll probably support you with allowances, but you will not have a salary. But once you volunteer in the UN for 6 months, 6 months, internal adverts come through and you can easily switch to a fully paid position. Even in these places, I know that in Ministry of Lands, they start with graduate trainees and it is a volunteering position. Are you willing to do that for the sake of gaining knowledge, for the sake of being trained? Even other companies, they ask you to volunteer maybe 3 to 6 months. And in there, while you volunteer, they are trying to see whether you understand their way of operation, whether you understand what you are doing. And once you have proven yourself to actually be knowledgeable, to be teachable, to be learning what they are teaching you, then they will reconsider. They'll say, no, Rose has been here volunteering for 6 months. She has shown that she understands everything that we do. She is knowledgeable, she is teachable. Let us move her to a paid position, okay? Communication and presentation skills, the way you respond, you respond to people at office, the way you address your bosses, the way you relate with colleagues, it's very important. If your boss went with you for a meeting and he asked you to explain land acquisition in that meeting, are you able to? In the presentations that we make most of you undertake at campus, people are shying away, people are looking down. How are your communication and presentation skills as a fresh graduate? Okay? Phone etiquette. I beg to reiterate myself, phone etiquette. Everyone has a smartphone, okay? There are those that even have the latest models of iPhones, but at the end of the day, it remains a phone, okay? If your boss walks into your workstation and they find you on the phone, probably at 10 a.m., okay, maybe you're looking at some emails. Then he comes back at 1 p.m. and you're on your phone. He comes back at 3 p.m. and you're on your phone, okay? You're laughing at statuses, you're TikToking, you know your phone is ringing, it's buzzing, can you concentrate, okay? If your phone rings, how do you pick up the call? If a client calls for an update on their report, how do you deal with that, okay? How do you answer? How do you respond with, in light of the fact that you know you're responding to a client for East African consulting surveyors and valuers? So those are the things that they look out for and say, will this person really represent us well? If you're talking to a relationship manager from DFCU, how will you pick up the call? How will you present your issues? Continuous professional growth and learning, like Mr. Matovu mentioned. So are you part of the trainings? Do you attend CPDs? Do you attend special talks that maybe the M.A.S.S has organized? They've brought maybe the CGV or the CQS to have a word with maybe final year students. Are you part of that training, or you don't consider it relevant? You need to be seen to be training and having the desire to improve yourself as a professional. Like RSU Tom mentioned, of course, you need to have a strategy and a plan. When I finished my undergraduate, I gave myself 2 years. And I said, in 2 years, I need to do my master's. Of course, it was a tall order, considering I wanted to do it in the UK, and it's pretty expensive there. But I kept looking out for scholarships. So do you know other professional bodies like CASO, AFRES? So that these are some of the areas where scholarships are given. Have you heard of Chevening? Do you look at, you know, what they offer and which line they offer, which academic line they would happily support you in terms of scholarships to upgrade your professional knowledge? These are things that you have to set out in your plan and say, I'm working for 3 years. I want to do a master's. I want to do a postgraduate. I want to do a course in taxation. I want to do a course specifically with, you know, accounting, because I'm looking at being a business valuer. All those things, you need to be strategic about it. And finally, teamwork. As fresh graduates, when we walk into different offices, you already find an office culture. Hierarchy, you find an office culture, and you need to blend into this office culture. You need to make friends at work, and these are the friends that you'll always go back to. I worked with very many people at East Africa. Actually, when I joined, I think I was the youngest. I found Senior Valley was there. And we have gone on to be friends, to be colleagues, if I have a challenge with something, because these different people are specialists in different areas. So while other valuers moved on to UNRWA, others are started up their own companies, others are TCL, I am still in touch with these people, okay? Because they are my friends. We worked as a team. When you're sent for a project, you work as a team. So you need to be able to make friends, but also work as a team to improve each other. These are people that you can say, the comparables that I have for this place are towards this line. What have you done? Maybe someone has actually recently just valued a plot nearby your subject property. But if these are not your friends, if these are not your colleagues, you'll never get that information. So you need to work as a team, of course, cognizant of the fact that there's a team leadership, you know, your bosses and the reporting hierarchy and all that. But as professional colleagues, you need to work as a team. The final aspect is work-life balance, the earlier presenters mentioned, and I'll quickly go through that. For me, it is stay healthy, exercise, do not be a workaholic, okay? But also make friends in and outside the profession. So do you have some lawyer friends? Do you have some engineer friends? Because you grow as professionals. At CEDAT, there are very many courses there, land surveying, QS, engineering, construction management, all those. Can you make those friends, okay? So that even as you go out in the working world, these are your people. You can call up someone, a quantity surveyor, and say, they sent me a BOQ, but this one I have never seen. You know, I'm trying to interpret it, but it's not easy for me. Please shed some more light on this. Then be willing to do some pro bono work. I know that as fresh graduates, we are looking at making some money, which is not a bad motive, but can you do some pro bono work? Can you use your profession to better the lives of the less fortunate? Tom was talking about Rotary, where both of us are in the Rotary fraternity, where we give of our time. There is the Lions Club in Makerere, where you can spend some time and address community challenges without earning a coin, okay? And can you, if your auntie, uncle called you up to help them resolve a conflict, would you be happy to help, or you say, no, thank you, uncle, auntie, naena somere Makerere. I'm not doing this, you know? You need to be able to offer some pro bono services. Your family, your relatives should be able to benefit. Of course, they're also understanding and mature. They'll probably, you know, give you something in appreciation, but it may not be the whole, you know, valuation fees. And yes, so corporate social responsibility, yeah. So help do some pro bono work. With Rotary, the Lions Club, different drives to help other people, you know, the less fortunate, using your professional expertise, even if it's just giving someone advice. Or maybe you're working in government and you know how the structures operate, and you say, guys, this is what I know, this is how you'd have to go about this particular issue. So friends, this is how I would put out in a nutshell, put out your being able to fit into the professional market as valuers. And I thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Madam. We shall have 5 minutes for questions. Donald, please share the screen. Yeah. Can you see them? Hello?
Yes. I will address one at a time. with lots of competition and emergency of many valuation firms in Uganda, does it still guarantee a good employment opportunity with the most qualified valuers in the field? Firstly, with regards to that, everyone that is an RSU is qualified and competent. The Surveyors Registration Board actually does a great deal of work with regards to sieving out these valuers. RSU Tom talked about the interviews that you have to sit at both ISU and SRB levels, and these are vigorous interviews. You have to be competent, and so by the time they give someone a stamp, these are actually very qualified. Yes, there are very many valuation firms that have emerged, and the competition is cutthroat. However, valuers should not be involved in undercutting each other. Okay, we have standards to uphold, and we are working on that even as the valuation surveying chapter. How surveying as a profession can be improved because brokers are too many in this profession. I hear you with regards to that. And one, as valuers, we have also shared the similar concern. Brokers, unfortunately, haven't even gone to class to understand, the operations of the real estate market. They just have information that us valuers sometimes are lazy to get, and so they take advantage of it. But we have shared concerns about being able to regulate these brokers, and it is work in progress. So rest assured that we are addressing this issue. We want them regulated. We want them to be registered somewhere. And we also have requested of them to actually get the formal education that all of us sit down in class and attain before they put out there in the market, before they put their trade outside there in the market. How best can one exploit the opportunities in the government sector? Now, government is broad, wide, and there's so much that government is doing, from land acquisition, supervision of land acquisition projects, to rating, to rent assessment, to stamp duty assessment. There is so much. And most of these things we have studied in class. So exploiting these opportunities is one, by for you identifying your niche, what do you want to do? Okay, what excites you, which valuation excites you, and then you can be attached to that. Land acquisition projects are massive under government because of the infrastructure development. And like Mr. Matovu said, there are very many ongoing projects. So if you want to do land acquisition, if you want to do compensation, government is a good place to be at, but also agencies, the different agencies, because now they are the ones, government does a supervisory role, and the agencies are the ones that actually undertake these compensation valuations, and government oversees that. How to keep female in the industry? I want to know a female perspective. I really, really love this question, and I hoped that it would come through. Right from school, when we were studying valuation, we were, I think, about 10 ladies out of a class of 40, if I can remember very well. So the ratio was 1 to 3, girls to boys, or ladies to gents. However, even in Budo, where I studied, it was, I think it was about 1 to 5 or something like that. So for me as an individual, I have studied in kind of like male, I've gone through male-dominated spaces, right, from school and then to work, yeah. And the general perception about surveying is that it's a male-dominated profession. However, I don't look at it that way. That is why I earlier talked about keeping away the Cinderella life, because you have to do what you have to do as a professional. If it means going to the field, you need to do that. If it means working late, if it means going to the field, 2-3 districts away from Kampala, it shouldn't be a problem. However, depending on your other responsibilities, of course, as a lady, you need to put that into consideration. But for me, I operate with my head up high. What I can do, a male counterpart can do that. What they can do, I also can do. We have studied the same thing. We are qualified, you know, we are all qualified and competent. So for me, it's nothing about being female. So I would like to encourage them, the female surveyors, take it head on. There's nothing that puts you at a lower level or at a disadvantage because you're a female. What the guys can do, we can also do, and actually we do it better. Also, generally, you know, the ladies we are finer people. We are the finer species, if I may say. We hold ethics dear, we hold accuracy, we hold those aspects. So for me, that's what pushes me, and also knowing that what they can do, I can do, and even do it much better. Where exactly do valuers work? Valuers work in different places, but to understand better, it is, you know, the types of valuation and the purposes of valuation. So if you're valuing for compensation, you can work for agencies, MDAs, you can work for banks because that's mortgage, you can work for city council authorities, rating, you can work for government in terms of stamp duty assessment, probate. You can also do property management, okay? You can also do property management. The valuation purposes are many, so people end up in auditing firms, people end up in, if you do real estate finance and investment, you know, if you do something extra with that, you can end up at NSSF, you can end up in different places. So valuers, they are private valuation firms, you can be taken up in-house. We are working with, we are making efforts to address URSB because URSB to create for us an in-house valuation department. UNRA is there as they compensate people for projects, you know, land acquisition, valuers work there. So there are many places. Is land economics still beneficial to its doers? Yes, I believe it's still beneficial, but I would like to let you know that at the university, we are in the stages of readjusting and reviewing the curriculum and the name. Dr. Musinguzi will share more details on that, but yes, land economics is still beneficial. And in there, everything that you study is related to valuation. You have done property management, you have done valuation. So yes, it is still beneficial. As a valuer, one of the fundamental principles is competency. And according to the current situation, valuers and firms are carrying out valuations without inspection. Isn't this leading to underestimations of the value of property? I thank you very much for this question. Yes, competencies, one, qualifications you need to have studied. Competency is building your skills with specific skills with relation to each of the assignments. Now, with the current situations, it's very unethical to actually conduct a valuation, to perform a valuation without going to the field. However, one, with the increasing trend, it could be that someone went to the, someone did not go to the field, but sent someone else to the field. Of course, the obligation lies on the RSU because these people are trained, okay? So they have mastered the art of collection of data during field inspections. But if someone has totally not gone to the field, not sent anyone to the field, it is unfair that they conduct evaluation based on hearsay, because the valuer is the eyes and ears of the client. You know, what you see, what you hear, what you take note of, your observations are things that have an impact on the final value returned. So yes, failure to carry out an inspection has a detrimental effect on, the values that are returned, and it is unethical practice. And that is why earlier I was saying we need to stand on ethical grounds. Or if they refer to information from third parties like owners, how credible is that information in terms of the condition of the property? Third-party information comes through. However, the liability, the valuer has a duty of care to the client. So yes, you can't be sure that the information the client has given you is genuine and true, because they also have objectives as to why they want the valuation. So you need to carry out the valuation with an objective mind, okay? That's why you need to go to the field yourself and collect the data. Ask the questions yourself, make the observations yourself, so that you make an influenced decision, okay? You return an opinion on value that is not subjective to the owner has told you. Is not also influenced by what the owner wants. However, with regards to that, valuers usually also put out disclaimer clauses, okay? That the information that they've received, especially like from third parties, they are looking at that they haven't, should I say, they haven't established whether it is 100% correct or not. So the disclaimers sometimes put, it kind of backs up it kind of supports the value. It says, okay, maybe we did an inspection, but it wasn't a thorough one in terms of structure, because we are not the specialists in structure survey. Or the information we got, we relied on it, but it was information that we received. We didn't take it as 100% gospel truth. So that disclaimer kind of creates some protection for the valuer. I think those are the ones on the slide that has been shared. I'm not sure whether there are other questions. I can see.
In the chat room, we have 2 questions coming through in the chat room.
Okay, let me answer these ones also. From Joseph Oloya, RSU, I noticed every profession has a wide market. Is it of any advantage to become a specialist like a specialized in compensation or mortgages, or is it better to be diverse? Thank you, Joseph, for this question. One, I'll speak from the local context, and I can compare it with what I saw in the UK. In the UK and under RICS, valuers go specialized. A residential valuer, you'll find a commercial, you will find an agricultural and rural valuer. But that is because their economy is grown. It has developed so well that if you are just a residential valuer, you would make a killing out of just doing residential valuations, okay? Bringing it to the Ugandan context, unfortunately, our economy is not that developed. Everyone has started out as a general valuer. Of course, with the trend now, like land acquisition projects, SGR somewhere, the oil projects, it would be okay for you to specialize in that way, but that means that you're kind of narrowing the scope from which you would get assignments. And yet, with your BSc, with your foundation course, you're able to carry out all the different types of valuation. So I would recommend that someone is what they call a general practitioner for now. But later, when things start to improve, it would be okay to go specialized. So what you do is probably upgrade, do a couple of specialized courses. At the Institution of Surveyors of Uganda, we are working on CPDs that are more specialized, maybe business valuation, of intellectual property. So if you attend those CPDs and further do courses that are more specialized, like business valuation, then it would be okay to go the specialized way. But still, there's not even a name for you, so we would not call you the business valuer. We would still call you a valuer. So I think that kind of answers the question. I would recommend someone is a general practitioner, and that's why I said your information levels, your knowledge levels have to be wide. If today you're doing a business valuation, tomorrow you're taken for residential, the other day you're taken to a ranch, and the next 2 weeks you're on a land acquisition project, you should be flexible enough to do all that. The other question is, how relevant is the professional online presence in regards to networking? I'm on LinkedIn. On LinkedIn, I follow most of the valuation firms in Uganda. So from Knight Frank to East Africa to GMT to all the firms that are there. And for me, it keeps me abreast with the information about what they are doing. We know that Knight Frank carries out good research. So when they release their reports, I easily get that information. And then also, professional colleagues. So I have friends who work in UNRA. I have friends who work in REA. I have friends who work, who are lecturers in Makerere. I have friends who are lecturers in Chambogo. I have friends that are lecturing and practicing outside Uganda. But for me, the professional online presence is a good one. People keep releasing results and reports, and it keeps me abreast with that. Unfortunately, our Ugandan market might not be so conversant with dealing with LinkedIn. So if you put your profile there and you say that you're probably looking for a job, not very many people will capture it, but your activity also matters. If you're constantly following a certain firm, you're making comments, you're sharing the knowledge that you have, you're engaging, you're being active on this page, then someone will actually know and understand that you're informed, you're knowledgeable about the profession to which you profess. So I think that it is relevant, but our local market hasn't yet appreciated fully how to engage people, on that professional line. I think that closes up answers to all the questions. Moderators, back to you, please.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Just before
to
I
all
go,
our keynote speakers.
I will share the presentation. I'll share the presentation with the M.A.S.S president so that he puts it out to all the members on the call.
All right, please.
Thank you very much. Hello? Back to you, Donald.
Yes, thank you so much, RSU Naomi, for that presentation and for that wonderful package. We are humbled. We are humbled to have such a wonderful presentation from you. As we draw to the end of this webinar, we would like to, as Makerere University Association of Surveying Students, we thank all participants that have made it to this webinar. We highly appreciate our speakers for inspiring and motivating us with the surveying students as we pursue our surveying career. We thank RSU Tom Senyondo. We thank RSU Naomi Kayondo. We thank Mr. William Matovu for the wonderful presentations that they have made to us. We thank our patron, Dr. M.A.S.S. Musinguzi, for always mentoring, advising us and inspiring us in the surveying field that we always look up to. So this marks the end of our webinar. Yes, I would like to thank the executive, the M.A.S.S executive that have worked with to see that this webinar is a success. We thank our patron who has always stood with us in organizing these webinars and different association activities. So tomorrow will be the second day, and we shall be discussing more on the theme. Will be coping up with the surveying professional practice in the COVID challenging times. Yes, you can register using that link on that poster, and as well we shall begin at exactly 2 p.m. for tomorrow's webinar. I thank all of you, and I will invite any volunteer to give a vote of thanks to our keynote speakers. Thank you. Any volunteer from the students to give a vote of thanks to the presenters?
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
On behalf of the students, I would like to really appreciate all our keynote speakers for all they've shared with us. We have gained so much. And with this information, I think we have gone a step forward, or even two or very many more, into preparing for our time in the job market. Thank you so much. And we request you to always be available for inquiries, for questions, for help, for mentorship. But otherwise, we are really grateful. Thank you so much. With that, I think we should come to the end of the webinar. You can please leave. Hello, Donald.
Yes, please.
Do we have anything else?
No, that's it. That's it. We continue to appreciate and thank all the participants that have made it to this webinar, and urge them to join us tomorrow as we discuss more about coping up with the surveying professional practice in the COVID challenging times. That we shall start at exactly 2 p.m. Tomorrow. Thank you.